The Constitutional Court ruled today that Parliament erred in its decision not to adopt the Section 89 panel report, which found that Ramaphosa may have violated his oath of office. The panel found that Ramaphosa may have a case to answer to regarding the theft of foreign currency stolen from his Palapala farm 6 years ago. Malema says Ramaphosa should step down and take accountability.
Now is for Ramaphosa to use his conscience and resign as the President of South Africa and go and face the impeachment. We can't have a president that is doing the work of president and doing the work of impeachment. He must concentrate on one.
Staying with the story, the President has indicated his respect for the decision of the Constitutional Court today. This has been confirmed by his office, which has been reacting to that order by the Apex Court that Parliament review impeachment proceedings against him. It also set aside Parliament's decision to vote against adopting the Section 89 panel report. That report made damning findings against the President, saying he may have violated his oath of office and the Prevention and Combating of Corruption Act. Presidency spokesperson Vincent Magwenya.
President Ramaphosa respects the Constitutional Court's judgment and reaffirms his commitment to the Constitution, the independence of the judiciary, and the rule of law. President Ramaphosa has been consistent in providing his full assistance to the various inquiries into this matter.
One of the 4 people being monitored in the Western Cape for possible exposure to hantavirus is showing mild symptoms, including fever and a sore throat. The Health Department confirmed the 4 suspected cases. It says the group was on a flight from St. Helena Island, where the virus may have been present. Department spokesperson Foster Mohale is advising other international travellers on that flight to come forward for screening.
With the help of the airline, which is the A-Link, that flight carried about 82 people plus 6 crew members on board. So far, we managed to reach about more than 50 of them in order to alert them to say, please, if you experience signs and symptoms similar to hantavirus, just go to your nearest healthcare provider.
Mohale says the department is prepared to respond to a potential outbreak, although it maintains the World Health Organization's position that the likelihood of person-to-person transmission is low.
We are 100% ready. We learned the good lessons during our response to COVID-19 and post-COVID-19. One of those mpox, which was previously known as monkeypox.
KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has vowed to bring the suspects behind the killing of Crime Intelligence Officer Louis Nel to book. Nel was shot and killed and his colleague injured in the north of Durban a week ago. Mourners gathered at the Durban Christian Centre to bid a final farewell to the former Special Task Force team operator. Mkhwanazi addressed the service, saying losing an officer, especially a highly trained and skilled one, is hurtful.
For me, on my side, having worn the badge, having gone through the trouble that Captain Nel has gone through, I understand the pain and the anger that the members, especially the members of Special Task Force, will have at this day. That one criminal is able to eliminate one of our operators, the highly trained member of the Special Task Force.
He then made this promise to the task force, the family, as well as friends of the deceased.
I can give you assurance, operators, all of you that are here, that we'll find them. We will find the killers, dead or alive. We will find them pretty soon. I can give you that assurance.
And Botswana has declared 3 days of national mourning following the death of its former president, Festus Mogae, at the age of 86. He had been receiving treatment in hospital after a period of ill health. Mogae led the country for 10 years under the Botswana Democratic Party, focusing on economic growth, poverty reduction, as well as job creation. President Duma Boko has described him as a disciplined leader who championed good governance and national development. Nkosikhona Malingamnisi reports.
Born in Siruwa in 1939, Mogae studied in Britain before joining Botswana's civil service soon after independence in 1966. He later served as finance minister and vice president before becoming president in 1998. After completing the 2 terms allowed under Botswana's constitution, Mogae handed power to his deputy Ian Khama in a peaceful transition that strengthened the country's reputation for political stability. Mogae was widely praised for his leadership in the fight against HIV/AIDS in the diamond-rich Southern African nation. Perlman. A trained economist, he spoke openly about the HIV/AIDS crisis at a time when Botswana had one of the highest infection rates in the world. Under his leadership, Botswana introduced one of Africa's most comprehensive HIV/AIDS treatment programs. Kosi Khona Malingamnisi, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $4,712.18 an ounce. The rand is at 16.41 to the dollar, 22.33 to the pound, 19.31 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $100.42 a barrel.
Devland, there's about a 20-minute delay on the N12 westbound heading towards Eldorado Park. That's between the N1 and the Golden Highway. Protea Lane also heavy delays on the R559. That's main road opposite GOG Gardens.
In your sport, it's another Europa League final for Unai Emery as Aston Villa blow Nottingham Forest away. Oliver Glasner hails huge achievement as Crystal Palace reach their maiden European final. And World Athletics, along with the ITF, upholds Belarus's suspension from sport.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with isolated showers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 16 and 17 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, EFF leader Julius Malema is calling on President Cyril Ramaphosa to resign following a court ruling ordering Parliament to begin an impeachment inquiry against him.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. On Sunday, 26 July, 7:02 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk unites us all in the iconic Joburg CBD.
7:02
Walk the Talk. Abize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It's 8 minutes past 3 on Friday, the 8th of May. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you're listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. This has been a momentous day in South African politics.
It is declared that the vote of the National Assembly taken on 13 December 2022, declining to refer the report of the independent panel to an impeachment committee as envisaged in the NA rules, is inconsistent with the Constitution, invalid, and it is set aside. 7. The report of the independent panel is referred to the impeachment committee established in terms of the NA rules.
So that was Chief Justice Mandi Samaya. That just an excerpt of a much, much longer judgment, of course. What are the implications of the Constitutional Court's ruling today on Phala Phala following legal action taken by the economic freedom fighters and the African Transformation Movement many, many months ago? How long have you got? This will have consequences for President Cyril Ramaphosa and, of course, for the ANC. It will impact the government of national unity. It will cast a long shadow over the upcoming local government elections. Our economy will not come out of this unaffected. We'll try to cover all of those angles over the next 3 hours, but in the meanwhile, let us know what we might have missed. You can reach us on 072 702 1702. We'll be covering some other things as well. Early childhood development is crucial to the future of our children and our country, but is often sold short financially, in policy terms as well. A new government decision, though, might help turn that around. More details on that at 3:25. We'll get the latest on flood damage in the Western Cape, and Tutuzelo Nene has that story for us. He's currently visiting communities on the Garden Route. And in the last part of the show, we'll get to know someone you kind of already know, perhaps from hearing them on shows like this one. That's our weekly feature, Song, a Book and a Dish. Our guest today chose this for his song. Yeah, maybe alongside Public Service Commissioner Somadora Figeni, you are a Jonas Gwangwa fan too. Dr. Figeni is our special guest. He'll be with us at around 20 to 6. On the markets, the JSE is down today with the all-share off by 1,200 points. That's around 1.1%. Leading the losers are two shares that were doing very well earlier this week. Goldfields down by 4.4%. Datatech, after some excellent results a couple of days ago, weaker by 3.7%. Sasol's doing somewhat better, up by 2.4%. Boxer has gained 1.6%. The rand is trading at 16 rand 42 against the dollar, weaker by 27 cents over the past 24 hours. A euro will cost you 19.31. That's 19 cents down on yesterday, and 22 rand 34 will get you a pound. The rand, by the way, has lost 21 cents over the past 24 hours against the UK currency. Oil price down by $3.42 today, still above 100 though. A barrel of Brent crude trading at $100.59. Stephen Critters joins us with all the market news at 4:25. I'm pretty sure he'll have some interesting views as well on the Concord decision. We'll get sport with Tolakele Mganga. Karabochali has the traffic news, and Bali Dlamini joins us at 3:30. You heard her a moment ago. She'll be back with the latest news headlines. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, you'll hear it here first. But if you've got something that we don't know about, something you want to share with us that perhaps we've missed, give us a call on 072 702 1702. That's for WhatsApps, either voice notes or text. And a call if you want to talk and debate and discuss. 011 883 0702. It's 13 minutes past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Just to say, by the way, that we are also available on YouTube. So many ways to listen to 702 and, of course, to the show on your radio, as some of you been doing for many, many years and possibly decades. There is the Prime Media Plus app, which is great because it means you can literally connect with us anywhere in the world where you can pick up a signal, pick up some Wi-Fi. And we are on YouTube. So you can see us as well in our Friday finery. Not all of us got the memo. No, we don't try to make any kind of big splash. We keep it natural, but it's quite nice to have a look at the studio, look at who the guests coming in and out are. You can see the team, and you can engage with us as well. There's a chat function on YouTube as well. So as I said, all the big stories covered today, and it's indeed one of those big stories where we think we should be getting your views. The Constitutional Court judgment on Phala Phala. What do you think of what happened today, and what do you hope happens next? I think it's absolutely fair to say this decision made by the Concord and what might follow will literally affect every single one of us, whether we know it or not. So, Refuwe Letsua putting today's show together. Your thoughts? I mean, I know one part of your mind goes, okay, who do we need to get? And you go into full journalist mode, but you're a citizen as well. I'm sure you've mulled it over on your way here.
Good afternoon, John, and to the rest of the 702 family. I think it's important that the president account, because sometimes there's a feeling that some individuals are seemingly above the law, right? So I think it's important to account, and then we need to know what really happened, because I still have so many questions. Even with this ruling, I'm like, but what really happened? So I think accountability is very important. That's my immediate thought, that we need to know what happened.
Yeah. And Karabochali, I'm sure you've been thinking about it as well.
No, accountability is important for all of us so that we understand and know what happened. I'm just glad, actually, I'm at two minds.
Yeah.
I'm glad the rule of law is taking its course with no fear and favor. When we're talking about the first citizen here being scrutinized about what happened during Phala Phala. And for a long time, I felt like it was swept under the carpet, but now we're getting to the real deal. But I'm also nervous because I was enjoying the political government stability for a while. It looked like things were working for us. And now with this, how is it going to look? Who's going to be the next president? Or is he going to step down? Or is he, we're just now in the dark, and he just has to come out and tell us what's next.
Yeah.
But I think it's just really a wake-up call for a lot of us South Africans, because I think South Africans, we're a jokey nation. I mean, if you can recall, there were so many memes when it came to this whole Phala Phala thing. I think now we can be like, guys, but this is actually a very serious thing. I know we are the laughing and smiling nation, but stuff has hit the fan now.
Yeah.
There's stuff on the fan that needs to be accounted for. And this is the country we're living in, because I think sometimes as citizens, we kind of forget the power of our voices and the importance of it. Yeah.
So lots already to get us going on the subject. So you've heard from Rifue, you've heard from Karabo. Let's hear from you now. 072-702-1702. Your thought on what happened today. But crucially, what do you hope happens next? And if, like Karabo, you've got some concerns and a sense of unease because we're probably going to enter into a period of significant instability, that would certainly be my view, feel free to talk about that as well. Lines wide open. The canvas is blank. Let's get you painting and commenting. 702 Drive, it's 17 minutes past 3. We also need to make sure, by the way, that we give you all the basics, starting with the traffic.
Yeah, and I'll start in the city of Tshwane, John, where there's an accident scene. If you're heading towards Centurion, that accident scene in Erasmus Park on the N1 southbound before Rigel Avenue, causing heavy delays. There's also slow-moving traffic in Garsfontein, still in Pretoria on Garsfontein Road, approaching Solomon Mahlangu in the south of Joburg. Devland, expect about a 20-minute delay heading into Lenasia Eldorado Park. That's the N12 westbound between the N1 and the Golden Highway, and in Protea Glen, still in Soweto. Traffic heavily backed up on the R559 main road opposite GOG Gardens. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
I held down the judgment. Congratulations.
And there you have it. Oh my goodness. Trouble, trouble, trouble for the president. He has lost this case. As you have heard from the Chief Justice Mandi Samaya, the order is that Rule 129 of the National Assembly is inconsistent with the Constitution and is set aside. What is crucial here is that vote by the National Assembly, where the ANC abused its majority to decline to refer that independent panel report to an impeachment committee, that vote is inconsistent with the Constitution. It's invalid and it's been set aside.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Are you ready for the magical Marble Family Fest? It's a luxury playground designed to excite and delight all ages. Food, fun and rhythm all collide to bring you unforgettable moments for you, your friends and your family. See what the creators of the luxurious Marble Circus have in store for you this Mother's Day weekend on the 9th and 10th of May at the James and Ethel Gray Park. Get your tickets at magicalmarblefamilyfest.com. Another grand collaboration with Investec in partnership with our sister station 947.
It's another girl.
Yes. Families multiply, fees shouldn't. With Ultimate Banking, you get support for every chapter. Get discounted banking for your spouse and give each of your children a head start with a Mega U account. Because as your family grows, your banking should keep up. Apply online. Your story matters. ABSA. Terms and conditions apply. ABSA is an authorized financial services provider.
Experience pure country allure as a VIP at this year's Hollywood Bets Durban July with Spina Zonke. Stand a chance to win VIP experiences or a share of 1.2 million rand in cash. Bet 2 rand or more on selected slots to enter. This is your moment. Release your spirit. Release your victory. Release your glamour with Spina Zonke. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
All roads lead to the East Coast as thousands gather in the metropolitan jewel of KZN Durban for Africa's Travel Indaba 2026. And next Tuesday from 1 p.m., 702 afternoons with Relebogile Maboja will be live from the Durban ICC with Durban Tourism. From stimulating the local economy to further positioning Durban as a top destination, we're bringing you all the news and views in the business of travel and tourism. So catch 702 afternoons with Relebogile Maboja, live from Africa's Travel Indaba 2026 with Durban Tourism on 702. You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's get into the Constitutional Court judgment right now. And welcome to the show, our EWN colleague Thabiso Goba, who obviously followed the morning's proceedings in the court closely, but has also been sounding out the views of various political parties, trying to get a sense of where this all moves going forward. Very good afternoon to you, Thabiso. I mean, in terms of the political parties, obviously the EFF having driven this matter alongside the ATM, those two parties absolutely delighted with the outcome. The EFF making the point in comments made earlier by Julius Malema, the party leader, saying this is the second time now, and I think it might be the third, but it's the second president who they feel they have stopped in his tracks in not doing what he ought to as the country's first citizen. But other parties, are you getting a sense of the lie of the land? Is there any support for the president out there outside of the ANC?
Really not, John. I've just been looking at some of the parties, especially those parties within the GNU. We know that the DA has released a statement, the newly elected leader, Jordan Hill Lewis, saying that the party will consider the evidence. We know that the Crown Court has ordered that an impeachment committee must take place. And Jordan Hill Lewis, I say newly elected there's a reason I'm saying that. And he said that the party or the parliamentary caucus will consider the evidence in its entirety, and then they will vote on that impeachment committee based on the evidence. Now, as I said, the newly elected, because you remember, John, that in June 2024, when the GNU was established, the Helen Ziller at the time, I believe she was on Clement Manyasela's show.
She was indeed.
She said that, the DA would be a bit reluctant to vote on removing the president from office, considering that they're now in obviously a partnership, and that the DA voted for him to become president. Now we obviously know that things have changed since then. Helen Ziller is no longer part of the DA leadership, and that's obviously there is now a new leadership within the DA that is now led by Jordan Hill Lewis. I see there's also a statement also from the Freedom Front Plus. They've obviously welcomed it, but they've said that they are a bit concerned that they feel that the report or the Crown Court's ruling sort of broaches into parliamentary legislation, into parliamentary processes. They're worried about the fact that the Crown Court is now directing Parliament in terms of how it should deal with this matter. But I do have to say, John, that I have spoken with the former leader, or I've spoken previously with him, the former leader of the Freedom Front Plus, Peter Groenewald, and I remember he said that if this matter were to come to an impeachment committee, the Freedom Front Plus will hold President Cyril Ramaphosa accountable. And we've obviously spoken, John, about the other parties that are outside of the GNU, that Cyril Ramaphosa is not going to be having any favors from those parties.
Yeah, and we're hoping to speak to the IFP. It's something we've lined up, and we are looking forward to speaking to them, hopefully at 10 to 4, as you can imagine. A lot of people in a lot of meetings, but the IFP will be crucial in this regard as well. Any idea of timelines? I understand that the EFF literally within a few minutes of the decision had already written to the speaker saying, right, we need to move on this thing. Is there any clarity on that? I've just been looking at some issues around how an impeachment committee works. One of the very interesting things, by the way, is their recommendations are not binding. The Assembly would still have to make a final and binding decision, but that's much, much later for that. Do we know how fast this is going to go?
Well, we do obviously as EWN, we have a parliamentary team in Cape Town. They have been trying to reach out to the Speaker's office in Parliament just to find out when they plan on establishing this impeachment committee. We're still waiting for that, but we do know that the Crown Court's ruling said that the Speaker, Togotitiza, she must established that impeachment committee, but however, they did not set a timeline. And I think it's interesting, John. I think you're also looking at the Parliamentary Monitoring Group, the statement they just released in terms of how the impeachment process is going to unfold. And I think what stood out for me, John, is the fact that if a president is to be impeached, they would need that 2/3 majority in Parliament to impeach President Cyril Ramaphosa. And I've been doing sort of a bit of rudimentary numbers, John.
Yes.
And it doesn't look good for the opposition parties because the ANC has 159 seats in Parliament.
Okay.
So in the very unlikely event, John, let's just say that all the parties, unlikely, but let's just say all the parties outside of the ANC vote to impeach President Cyril Ramaphosa, they can only conjure up 241 votes. Now, the problem is that a 2/3 majority in Parliament is 267 votes. So the only way this works is that all parties outside of the ANC have to vote to impeach Ramaphosa, and then they will also need at least 26 members from the ANC to go against the party and vote to impeach President Cyril Ramaphosa. I mean, we're still way too far from that, but I think just a rudimentary look at the numbers doesn't look good for the opposition parties. But I think there's also another aspect here, John, that the president, we do know that when this matter arose a couple of years back, he contemplated resigning. So there might also be that that's factor to consider.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to consider, and thank you to Thabiso Gorba for that excellent summary of all those different threads, is there's the damage of losing a vote. But prior to that, an impeachment inquiry could be extremely damaging as well. 7:02 Drive, it's 27 minutes past 3.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, I said earlier that in many ways, early childhood development or our failure to deliver it properly can determine, obviously, the future of many, many children, but also arguably the future of the country itself. So there is a campaign. They've been pushing for something called Real Reform for Early Childhood Development. Front and center is the Children's Amendment Bill, and it would seem that positive changes have been made in that regard. Let's find out what they are and what they might mean. Dr. David Harrison is CEO of the DG Murray Trust. They've been very much involved in this initiative. Dr. Harrison, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. I mean, what exactly will change now, and how might that help our kids?
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me on the program. So the Children's Amendment Bill has been accepted by Cabinet, so it now goes to Parliament. Obviously, Parliament still needs to make that decision. But really, the law just got real for children in the country, certainly in terms of early learning programs. The big changes are that up to now, there's been an incredibly complicated registration process for early learning practitioners. They had to both be registered as a care facility and then as an early learning program, duplicative documentation, separate processes, very complex. There's now a single process. And perhaps more importantly, there's now recognition of the realities of the different type of places where early learning and quality early learning can be brought to children. It doesn't have to be in pristine early learning centers, in formal areas. You can actually deliver quality early learning sometimes in a shack,
Yes.
in a school building, in a church facility, and so provision is made, moving away from the idea that infrastructure represents quality. What represents quality is the engagement between the practitioner and the child, and that's included in the bill.
So, I mean, if I understand you correctly, what we have at the moment is that there are more people willing and, in your view, able to actually give kids something in those crucial early years. They've been prevented from doing that because of the unnecessarily, again, what the campaign is saying, unnecessarily complex registration arrangements. One thing this wouldn't change, and I want to ask you for your view on it, is more people will be will be available to actually help look after kids during this time. But this doesn't in any way, or does it, pump more resources into the sector? Because presumably that's a problem as well.
Well, it's not only that people have been prevented from providing services. Many of them have been providing services, but they haven't been able to access government money because they haven't been able to meet the standards. Very, sometimes unnecessarily high standards. Our children need to be kept safe. They need to be kept healthy, but standards should not be prohibitive. And so that's the big shift here. That many more existing centres will be able to get subsidies, and it's going to be the poorest children who start to benefit. So that's the real value. Government has made this massive additional allocation to early learning programs, but they're not going to be able to spend that money until we have more appropriate standards that allow many more programs to be registered.
Thank you so much, Dr. David Harrison, CEO at the DG Murray Trust. Do you work in the ECD space? What are your thoughts? I'm sure you're familiar with the cabinet, the news coming out of cabinet. What else needs to happen for us to invest properly in our young South Africans at this crucial stage? Call us on 072 702 1702. It's 29 minutes to 4. This Eyewitness News is brought to you by ShopRite. Lower prices you can trust always. Let's get the very latest on that with Mbali Dlamini. Another point of pressure for the president, it would seem.
That's correct, John. A very good afternoon. President Cyril Ramaphosa's visit to Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa's private farm will now come under further scrutiny as the DA plans to submit parliamentary questions about it. The party wants to determine whether or not state funds were used to pay for that visit. Babalondenze has more.
DA International Relations spokesperson Ryan Smith says as a member of the GNU, the DA will not tolerate the ANC's excuses for being in the company of those responsible for Zimbabwe's demise. He says one of those is Zimbabwean businessman Wicknell Chivayo, who is under investigation by South Africa's Financial Intelligence Center over allegations of money laundering to the value of more than 800 million rands in public funds. Smith says they will be questioning the president about the details of the trip.
South African taxpayers deserve to know whether they are footing the bill for the president to fraternize with those responsible for Zimbabwe's captured state.
On Wednesday, presidency spokesperson Vincent Magwenya addressed the Zimbabwe trip and called it a working visit. He also said Ramaphosa was not aware of who was part of the delegation and whether they are wanted by South African law enforcement agencies. Baba Londenza, Eyewitness News.
The Cape Town Disaster Risk Management Centre has been placed on high alert for another cold front expected to make landfall in parts of the Western Cape from Sunday. An orange level 6 alert was issued by the Weather Service for disruptive rain and flooding in low-lying areas. Another warning was issued for damaging winds and waves, posing a danger to navigation at sea. Disaster Risk Management Centre spokesperson Charlotte Powell.
We urge the public to please follow official updates on social media and their preferred media channels closely to report any emergency incidents to the Public Emergency Communication Centre on 021 480 7700.
And the European Union has warned airlines not to charge customers extra fuel fees after they have already bought their tickets. The warning comes as the aviation sector feels the pain from high energy prices because of the Middle East war. In a document published by the EU today on the energy crisis, the body says any changes post-booking can raise issues under its unfair commercial practices. Spanish low-cost carrier Volotea has been criticized in France, where it is under investigation after demanding fuel surcharges from customers because of the energy shock from the war. It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with showers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 16 and 17 degrees.
Erasmus Park accident scene on the N1 southbound. That's heading towards Rigel Avenue. Heading towards Rigel Avenue, causing heavy delays from Garsfontein. Also in Garsfontein, bumper-to-bumper traffic on Garsfontein Road between January Masilela and Solomon Mahlangu. And in Devland, traveling towards Lenasia Aldos, expect about a 20-minute delay. N12 West between the N1 and the Golden Highway.
The top story in EWN, President Cyril Ramaphosa's visit to Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa's private farm will come under further
In the news this week, fuel prices are rising yet again, but there is some relief for ShopRite shoppers. With ShopRite's bulk buying power, they're able to secure stock long before price increases, which means that they can keep their prices lower for much longer. So you can save on deals like Weet-Bix, 900 grams for a low R52.99, and Rick Coffee, 750 grams or 800 gram refill for only R129.99 each. Valid until Sunday 10 May. Lower prices you can trust, always.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
The Midday Report at its heart is a current affairs show, but it really is a show about everything you need to know about and everything you didn't know you needed to know about. Our listener is sharp, plugged in, curious, has developed opinions, but is still open to learning new things. My favorite part is how witty, sharp, and funny our listener is. What we cover every day is breaking news, current affairs, politics, the courts, global developments, science, education, popular culture, sports, books, and of course, good things too. I like to think of it as a lunchbox with a little bit of everything. What I love about 702 Land is that it is full of energy. There's always something happening, a developing story to follow. But it's not parochial. The 702 family cares about what is happening in the world around them and how we plug into that.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener. Weekdays from 12 to 1 p.m.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's a home for dream creators, operators and change makers. In celebration of this, 702 has partnered with Jozi My Jozi to unite the whole of Joburg in the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. On Sunday, 26 July, we're going on a walk through the Joburg CBD, and we want you to join us and be a part of something special. Enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Jozi. Babize Bonke, more on primemediaplus.com.
We at Monument Dental are very happy with the premium we're paying. I wish I did it sooner.
Outsurance business insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium when you switch? For dentistries, general medical practices, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance business insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Mzansi, get ready to Panda Pusha Play Powerball Plus for an unforgettable 83 million rand guaranteed jackpot this Friday. You heard right. Play Powerball Plus for the huge 83 million rand guaranteed jackpot today, and you could be celebrating millions. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. Ituba is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Afternoon, John. Ramaphosa is going nowhere. With the numbers of ANC and parties like PA, PA have always been saying Ramaphosa will finish his term in the office. There's no way that they will vote against Ramaphosa. They are so comfortable in their seats in parliament. The smaller Nyana parties, so there's no way that they are going to vote against Ramaphosa being impeached. So he's going on nowhere. But I'm happy that at least the Constitutional Court brought something to the fore about our parliament. Yourself a good weekend. Bye.
Yeah, thanks. Very, very interesting message there. I don't think I'm as sure as you are about the way different parties will vote. And I'll tell you one of the things that makes me uncertain. This is an election year, and voters are going to judge political parties on many things, their offering of ideas around local government. But I do think, well, you guys tell me, will this be a factor in the way you decide to cast your vote in the local government elections, or are you purely going to judge it on what people plan to do about water and electricity and so on? I think that there's a massive political risk potentially for parties, depending, of course, on when all this thing starts. And you can see that the EFF, for example, and the ATM who brought this thing forward are saying, no, let's get going, and let's get going soon. If this kicks into gear, don't forget we're 6 months away, from local government elections. I think political parties, whether they're in the GNU or not, are going to weigh this up very carefully indeed. And I think you can see it and hear it in the comments made by Jordan Hill-Lewis. We'll play those for you a little bit later in the show. A couple of you, I asked you for your comments and you have sent us text messages. Calvin says, my concern is that in the event of the president's resignation, who will replace him and what will happen to the GNU? It is a very good question. Tsumbe is very clear. End of the road for Cyril Ramaphosa, has no doubt about what's going to happen next. Michael says the judge forgot to mention that this is a very good example of state capture and is still alive and well. The judge didn't forget to mention anything, Michael. The judge commented on the matter before them and included and what they did was focus very, very specifically, which is the strength of the legal work that the Concourt did, in my view, is that they focused absolutely in on what they were asked to focus in on. The question of whether this is state capture or not will be the work, I would imagine, of Parliament when that impeachment inquiry gets underway. 702 Drive coming up now for 18 minutes to 4.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele Mganga looking ahead to a very, very interesting week. There's big URC rugby. There's football as well here and further afield. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. And Unai Emery's in line to end Aston Villa's 30-year trophy drought, having masterminded a semi-final turnaround to qualify for the team for the Europa League final. They overcame a 1-0 deficit to claim a 4-1 win over Nottingham Forest and set up a final meeting with Freiburg on the 20th of May. Victory means that Villa are now a game away from their first major silverware for 3 decades and a first European trophy in 44 years.
When we can feel, of course, so happy and so proud of everything we are doing, now as well getting balance, because the final is still to play, 50-50 possibilities for both teams. Fribourg-German team very difficult, because German team, they have good players, they have good coaches, they have a good competitive way. Most important, everything we are doing is enjoying, and we still days and weeks to enjoy the process we are, and then play the final and with our supporters.
Oliver Glasner has put himself in line to win Crystal Palace their 3rd trophy in as many years, having advanced to the Conference League final. The Eagles beat Shakhtar Donetsk 5-2 on aggregate to set up a showdown with Rayo Vallecano. Success would cap off a remarkable tenure for Glasner at Palace, who will leave the club at the end of the campaign, having been appointed in February 2024.
These moments you can't buy, these moments you have to deserve. And I think everybody, every single player, every one of the staff deserve this moment. Yeah? And this is a feeling then you have when you have this last minute, when you walk the round in the stadium, on the pitch. This is a feeling. It's really, I think that's why we all love football.
Mamelodi Sundowns will be looking for an immediate response when they face Siwelele in the Bedway Premiership tomorrow. The Brazilians dropped points in midweek after being helped to a 1-1 draw by Kaizer Chiefs. That result leaves Divine Lungu and his teammates 3 points clear of Orlando Pirates at the top of the table, but the Buccaneers have a game in hand.
We tried to gel up so quick because our games we are playing week in, week out, so we have to gel up. They did gel up, and then just to come in and bring ourselves together so that we can focus on the next coming game of Siwelele. So I think the boys are good and they did their best. So we have to focus on this game. That one is what under the bridge. So we have to focus on the new one.
And World Athletics has rejected a recommendation by the International Olympic Committee that a ban on Belarusian athletes and teams competing under the flag of their nation should be lifted. The International Tennis Federation have also followed suit, saying restrictions on Belarusian athletes doesn't affect the country's continued ban from the Davis Cup and Billie Jean King Cup. Athletes from Russia and Belarus have been banned from international competition following Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine, although some were permitted to compete as neutrals. Tolakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Okay, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by GWM, class-leading vehicles that help you navigate your journey. Difficulties out in Mamelodi, just one of the pressure points building up. Karabo Charlie, what do you got for us?
Yeah, Mamelodi, bumper-to-bumper traffic heading into the township on Zamaya Street. This is approaching Dr. Ribeiro. This is opposite the Tshwane Regional Mall. These delays unusual at this hour. So if you're on that route, let us know what's happening on Zamaya Street. Heading into Mamelodi at this hour, you can WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702. In Garsfontein, also bumper-to-bumper traffic. That's still in Tshwane on Garsfontein Road between January Masilela and Solomon Mahlangu. Roodepoort, expect heavy delays. This is on Randfontein Road. Heading towards the Leratong Kagiso area, that's between Corlett Avenue and Adcock, while in Devland, expect about a 20-minute delay traveling towards Lenasia, Protea Glen. This is on the N12 westbound from the N1 to the Golden Highway. Protea Glen still in Soweto, traffic heavily backed up on the R559 main road opposite GOG Gardens. And finally, if you're traveling towards the Joburg CBD, leaving Boyson's, traffic sluggish. This is on the M1 northbound from Boyson's Road to the Crown Interchange due to a stationary truck. If you come across any other traffic issues, you can also SMS us on 31702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Ever since fuel went up, you've had to endure a lot. Like helping your mom run errands while she tries to help you with your love life.
Hi, Bo. Kanti, when are you and Sfiso getting married? Pella, I want grandchildren.
Don't let the fuel hike put you under pressure. Get 5,000 Rand towards your fuel when you buy a Haval or P-Series this month. Visit gwm.co.za or your nearest dealer to book a test drive. GWM. Go with more.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So the question we asked a little bit earlier, what do you think about what the Constitutional Court has ruled today, and what do you hope happens next? In terms of what might happen next, Felix says nothing will happen. Now, I understand that sentiment because there's often a feeling that there are big announcements, big developments in the country, and indeed, from time to time, nothing or a version of nothing happening happens. But I have to say, Felix, in this instance, nothing can't happen. There's no chance of nothing happening. I'm mangling my words here, but what I'm trying to say is something has to happen. Now, that something may not be what you believe should happen, i.e., for example, that the president is impeached or there's this consequence or that. That at the moment is unknowable, or although one can make certain informed predictions, and will continue to do that throughout the show. But the one thing that will not happen, I can say with absolute confidence, is nothing. That's my view. Keep yours coming, please, on 072 702 1702. I see we've got quite a few of your voice notes as well. Tolekele, your thoughts. I mean, it's been, I'm sure while you've been busy with your work, you've had half an eye on the screen and you're listening to the conversations and, crucially, listening to the voice in your head. I mean, what are your thoughts, first of all, about what the Court ruled, but what would you like to see happen next?
I think I'm a little bit like Felix. I don't think anything really, truly will happen. I think the one thing that has come out from this, the law is trying to tell us as citizens that no one is above the law. Even the president has to be held accountable. Even he has to abide by the rules of the country. But because there's just too much turbulence and there's just too much uncertainty around government itself, I think the ANC will do what they do best. They'll rally around their president. They'll do all the right imaging to assure people that he's reflected, he's going to make the right decisions, but we're still going to be in the situation a year on, still saying something should be done, but nothing will be done.
I'll give you a number that makes me think that what you've just said about the ANC doing what they always do is not quite that. Below 40%. The ANC was able to do that prior to our last general election when they had a majority. They could vote these things out, dare I say, laugh them off. They don't have the numbers anymore.
But do they have a personality that is emerging within their ranks that will make the rest of us, the voters, feel comfortable enough to say, I still back you as a national party.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's another question, and it's a really good one. But I'm just saying the game has changed, and the fact that we're in another election year, admittedly not national and provincial, where the set of choices perhaps are about these kinds of bigger issues. But I don't know. I think I was about to say all bets are off, but it depends on your betting habits, whether you like taking risky bets or safe bets. But yeah, all bets are both on and off. How about that for hedging my bets? It's 10 minutes to 4.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Now, I was very, very keen to hear the thoughts of the IFP for a number of reasons. Obviously, they're a party that is very consequential in South Africa because of the numbers they hold. One of the smaller parties, yes, but one of the bigger small parties, if I could put it that way, crucially as well. They're in the government of national unity. And we did back and forth on whether we can get an interview, but this is what they've just sent us. Let me share this with you before we move on to another consideration of what's happened. The IFP notes the judgment of the Constitutional Court directing that the Phala matter be referred to Parliament's impeachment process. The IFP maintains that Parliament is duty-bound to respect and implement the ruling of the Constitutional Court, including the establishment of the relevant impeachment committee in line with constitutional prescripts. They then go on to comment about what the court said, i.e. that Parliament acted unlawfully in 2022. They note that and clearly agree with that. And then they say this: as the IFP, we will participate fully and constructively in the work of the impeachment committee in the interest of accountability, transparency, and the rule of law. Further notes that Parliament's Rules Committee may consider reviewing the applicable rules when necessary to ensure full compliance with the Constitutional Court judgment and to safeguard the integrity of the parliamentary oversight processes. Of course, the question that I think everyone would like to ask them, and I was keen to engage with them on as well, where does their participation in the government of national unity come into question with this development? And they may well give an answer that says, well, we're right at the start line, so that's too early to consider that. Either way, the point is moot, as courts sometimes say, although they didn't agree that anything was moot today because they're not giving interviews at the moment. 8 minutes to 4.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
On the Midday Report, every day from 12 to 1 p.m, we will bring you breaking news from the scene as it unfolds with newsmakers, reporters, commentators, experts and analysts. We'll explain the stories of the day, give you context for why they are important and what they mean for you. It is everything you need to know in 1 hour, from news to global events, business, sports, science, books, and always some good news too. Appointment listening, every day at 12 with the Midday Report.
The Midday Report
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
You're with John Perlman
On 702.
Right, let's get another perspective then on what happened today at the Court and crucially on what happens next. Lawson Naidoo, Executive Secretary of the Council for the Advancement of the South African Constitution, joins us now on 702 Drive. Mr. Naidoo, welcome and thanks very much for your time. Intriguingly, all of this happening on the day we mark the 30th anniversary of the adoption of the South African Constitution. Your take on the decision so far is this: does this make our Constitution stronger in your view?
Good afternoon, John. Thank you very, very much. Yes, it is. It does make our Constitution stronger, I believe. I think it's an important message that the court has sent today, that mechanisms for accountability need to be effective. It must not simply constitute a question of going through the motions, as it were, that there must be meaningful oversight and meaningful accountability in parliamentary processes. The court has now directed by majority. There were three distinct judgments, as I'm sure you've discussed already. But the majority found that the matter needs to be remitted not just back to Parliament,
yes,
but directly to the impeachment committee of Parliament. To me, there's issues there around judicial overreach and issues around the separation of powers as to whether it is really proper for the court to put themselves in the position of the National Assembly.
So I wanted to ask you this. I mean, on the point that you've just alluded to, Lawson Naidoo, I mean, there was some expectation that the court might say, well, we're handing this back to Parliament. These are the problems, and now you go out and fix it. They were making more than a point of law here, it seemed to me.
Well, it was very, carefully couched as a point of law in terms of saying that on the basis that the Rule 129I of the Rules of the National Assembly was found to be unconstitutional, the court then took the next step, which I feel was a rather large step, to then say that consequentially the vote taken in terms of that rule that has now been declared unconstitutional is therefore null and void. So it would have been simpler, I think, for the court to remit the matter back to Parliament on that basis. But instead it went a step further and not just nullified that vote, but said that the vote is actually deemed to have been a positive one, and that the matter is now referred directly to the impeachment committee, which of course will have to be constituted by the Speaker of the National Assembly.
I've heard some people say, Mr. Naidoo, that if the ANC had really thought this through, they would have let the impeachment inquiry continue, and then they could have used their majority at the point this came to a vote to achieve the same kind of outcome. Obviously, the difference there would have been for that the president would have had to go through the public spectacle of impeachment evidence being put forward, and that may well have led to all sorts of political weakening. I'm just trying to think how to phrase this, but does the Constitution work as well for when parties have the kind of majority the ANC had and the much more fluid situation that we have now? Should it be a document completely agnostic of the political circumstances that we find ourselves in?
Well, it should not take into account those particular circumstances. But I think the real question you're asking, John, and the response that I give to that is that the ANC still has the numbers to block an impeachment of the president, because remember,
yes,
the impeachment of the president requires a two-thirds majority. So the ANC's 40% of the seats in the National Assembly is more than enough to block a vote to impeach President Ramaphosa.
People are saying he should resign. Do you have a view?
Well, that's a choice for the president to make. Whether he resigns or whether he goes through this process and seeks to, convince the impeachment committee and then ultimately members of parliament that he did nothing wrong, or that if he did do anything wrong, these were minor transgressions not worthy of an impeachment process. But that's a call that the president's going to have to make. But I think the point really is, as I think you've just alluded to, John, is the president willing to put himself through the public spectacle of cross-examination, robust and, dare I say, hostile cross-examination by members of opposition parties in Parliament.
It is conceivable, though. I mean, I don't know how the rules work, that even if he says, well, okay, I resign, they could say, well, you're coming anyway, because this thing needs to be ventilated. I would assume that a committee like this can subpoena.
The committee certainly has the power of subpoena, but if the president were to resign, he's no longer in office, and therefore the National Assembly cannot continue with impeachment proceedings against someone who is no longer in office. So his resignation will put an end to any impeachment process.
Lawson Naidoo, thank you. Executive Secretary at the Council for the Advancement of the South African Constitution. A lot of you sending us your comments as well. Patrick says, the snake must eat its own tail. I'll ponder that one. News coming up in just a moment.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja, 1 to 3 p.m.
In 2019, you had dropped your first single, nobody's looking.
Yes.
Once you heard yourself on a public platform that was not your own phone, what was that feeling like?
Freaking out. I could not believe it. I saw it obviously in my mind. I imagined all of these things, but when it actually happened, it just felt so unreal. And it still does right now. It's just so crazy to me that, out of all the songs that are out there that exist in the world, mine is being put on radio and I'm doing interviews like this. I'm just so grateful. So, yeah.
Kayla, it's spelled K-L-A. Don't be confused. Kayla, ne? But it's K-L-A. Sing and multi-hyphenate creative.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Mzansi Ballet proudly presents Heal the World, an inspiring new ballet set to the iconic music of global legend Michael Jackson. Choreographed by South African prima ballerina and award-winning choreographer Angela Revi in collaboration with renowned Mexican guest dancer and choreography George Wade, this powerful production celebrates dance as a force for connection, healing and transformation. It tells a deeply human and emotionally charged story of resilience and self-discovery. Heal the World runs from 13 May to 7 June at the Peter Turin Theatre at Monte Cassino. Get your tickets now through web tickets.
Looking to upgrade your office furniture this year? Desk & Chair, the direct office furniture manufacturer, has a deal you don't want to miss. Get 5% cash back towards your existing office furniture with all purchases over 350,000 Rand. Contact Desk & Chair now for more info. Visit our newly renovated showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk & Chair. Think, feel, work better. T's and C's apply.
It's the final days of less 20% off everything at Dial-A-Bed. All our famous brands in all sizes, all less 20%. Purchase any 40 Winks product for 5,999 or more and we'll give you a free Mother's Day gift. 2 adjustable pillows worth 1,200 Rand. Shop in-store or online today. Dial-A-Bed. Sleep for life.
This is EWN.
The DA says it will not be shielding anyone from accountability, GNU or not, and a school group still stranded due to flooding at a Western Cape resort. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. With the Constitutional Court ordering Parliament to establish an impeachment committee against President Cyril Ramaphosa, the DA says it will not be shielding anyone from accountability. The DA is the second largest party in the Government of National Unity and in Parliament. This morning, the Apex Court dealt a blow to Ramaphosa's political career by setting aside the decision by Parliament voting not to adopt the Section 89 panel report. That report made damning findings against the president, including violating his oath of office with his actions in the Palapala matter, where large sums of money stashed in a couch was stolen from his game farm. Tabiso Koba reports.
The Crown Court's ruling is likely to cause another friction within the Government of National Unity. In June 2024, shortly after the GNU was formed, the then Federal Council chairperson Helen Zille said the party would not support the removal of President Cyril Ramaphosa from office. However, Zille is no longer part of the DA's top leadership. The party's newly elected leader, Jordan Hill-Lewis, says the DA Parliamentary Caucus will participate fully and constructively in the impeachment process.
We will be guided by the facts and by the evidence placed before the committee and by our constitutional duty to the rule of law. We will not prejudge the outcome, but nor will we allow any person, no matter how high their office, to be placed above accountability.
The ball is now in the Parliamentary Speaker's court on when she plans to establish the impeachment committee. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Legal practitioners before the North Gauteng High Court over the legal sector's transformation framework have pointed to government as one of the drivers of disparities in the profession. They say the bulk of government's legal work continues to go to largely white-owned law firms, 4 of which are challenging the legal sector code of good practice. The firms insist they are not opposed to transformation and argue the case is about the rule of law. They have asked the court to confine itself to the Constitution and not what they they describe as an attempt to justify an irrational and unlawful code. Dimakatso Leshoro has more.
It's a complex case with far-reaching implications for transformation, not only in the legal profession but across the economy. An advocate who attended the hearings and has practiced for 15 years says she has only been briefed by government once in the last 6 years.
Government decided that no, I want to spend my money on Norton Rose and the other firms, and then I'll leave the black law firms here and the advocates here to dry.
Another legal practitioner, Advocate Phumla Mngwango, echoed the sentiments. She says it's not surprising that attrition levels, particularly among black female lawyers, remain high.
The reason we are here is because things on the ground are not happening. So we are relying on those breadcrumbs.
The applicants, represented by advocates Ngukai Toby and Bam, will this afternoon respond to the submissions by black advocates. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News at the North Gauteng High Court.
42 Namibian tourists remain stranded at the Oudtshoorn Mountain Resort. They are among 64 people, including schoolboys, teachers and staff. Garden Route Disaster Management says yesterday's evacuation attempt with the SANDF failed as the resort is situated at the foot of the Rubenheimer Dam, which is currently spilling over. Head of the department, Gerard Otto, says although an SANDF vehicle managed to cross the bridge, the evacuation was called off as the road began to crumble.
We did not want to risk the lives of those children or the people there by trying to evacuate them. They're safe, they're sheltering in place, they do have enough food. They indicated that when it's safe, we will take them off there. The water level normally subsides quite quickly once the inflow into the dam stops.
And Botswana has declared 3 days of national mourning following the death of its former president, Festus Mogae, at the age of 86. He had been receiving hospital treatment after a period of ill health. Mogae led the country for 10 years under the Botswana Democratic Party, focusing on economic growth, poverty reduction and job creation. President Duma Boko has described him as a disciplined leader who championed good governance and national development. Nkosikhona Malinga-Mnisi reports.
Born in Siruwa in 1939, Mogae studied in Britain before joining Botswana's civil service soon after independence in 1966. He later served as finance minister and vice president before becoming president in 1998. After completing the 2 terms allowed under Botswana's constitution, Mogae handed power to his deputy Ian Khama in a peaceful transition that strengthened the country's reputation for political stability. Mogae was widely praised for his leadership in the fight against HIV/AIDS in the diamond-rich Southern African nation. A trained economist, he spoke openly about the HIV/AIDS crisis at a time when Botswana had one of the highest infection rates in the world. Under his leadership, Botswana introduced one of Africa's most comprehensive HIV/AIDS treatment programs. Or see Khona Malinga-Mnisi, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $4,713.84 an ounce. The rand is at 16.43 to the dollar, 22.31 to the pound, 19.32 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $100.31 a barrel.
In Centurion, heading towards Linwood, traffic heavily backed up N1 northbound from John Foster to Atterbury in Acacia. Still in Tshwane, there's a hold-up on the N4 eastbound. This is between the R80 and Roslyn Road and Midrand stationary truck causing heavy delays on the N1 northbound before New Road.
In your sport, Mamelodi Sundowns look to return to winning ways against Suwelele. Real Madrid to take action against warring duo Federico Valverde and Aurelian Tchouameni. And Ambrose Papier to break Jos van der Westhuizen's all-time Bulls record.
A fine Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 3 degrees, peaking at 18. Pretoria 6 and WN the Sawa with the Concord ordering Parliament to establish an impeachment committee against the President. The DA says it will not be shielding anyone from accountability.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Visit primemediaplus.com to enter 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Josie.
For Joburg, by Joburg, in Joburg.
Bamise bonke.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 9 minutes past 4. Great to have you with us. We are live in the place where you live. And of course, we always want to hear from you, either on the big issues of the day, the stories we're already covering, or on stories we might have missed. Please do not hesitate to tip us off on important things that we need to know about. No question as to what is dominating the conversation today. The Concord ruling in regard to Parliament's blocking of the Phala Phala report. This now has to go back to an impeachment inquiry, and so many things may flow from that. There are political party implications, the implications for the GNU. I would suggest there are most certainly implications for the South African economy, depending on how this unfolds. But I think this is not going to be smooth sailing on any score. I've been asking you what you think of the decision. I'm also been asking you what you would like to see happen next and what you think will happen next. Vugile says, no one is above the law. Even former President Jacob Zuma knows that. We're getting somewhere as a country. Sifiso says he will be saved by Parliament. But Sanjay has a different view and says if a party votes for the president or shields him even after it is found that the president was wrong in any way, then that party will lose many votes in the elections, because everything is now in the public. No party will gain by shielding President Ramaphosa. Now, Kingsley has got a longer set of questions. The separation of powers is a critical constitutional mechanism, but what happens when Parliament fails to deal with the serious matter with the required due diligence? Perhaps this judgment offers parliamentarians a second bite at the cherry. Whether they'll properly apply their minds and put South Africa first this time without further compromising the stature of Parliament, again undermining the electorate and negotiating unsustainable backroom deals, is, Kingsley says, yet to be seen. Indeed, it is yet to be seen. I suspect it's going to be quite soon. I think this process is going to move quite fast. A couple of you have been offering your thoughts by way of WhatsApp voice notes. Let's hear a couple.
John, I've just done the numbers on this thing. You do realize that we are fortunate that the rand hasn't made any moves from, say, the whole morning. It's been trading within a range. That we've got a nice little golden weekend here to negotiate with ourselves and the markets, because let me tell you, the 4th of November is not going to be the disaster point for us as South Africans. That's going to be Monday, the 11th of May, 2026. And that, I think, is actually the proper clock we should be looking at. Not whether or not the numbers are going to support Cyril winning or not winning the impeachment vote. That's not the numbers. It's what happens between now and the 4th of November. But the market will start telling us on the 11th of May. So we need to negotiate with ourselves quick.
Good afternoon, John and team. This issue of the president, just quick one. I think even if he doesn't get removed or impeached, the damage has already been done. ANC must just forget its revitalization strategy, or as they call it, because it's not going to happen. People are now going to vote knowing exactly what kind of leaders ANC has. And I think quite a lot of small parties are going to get a chunk of votes. And I think it's time that DA also plays their cards very, very, very well.
702 Drive, like getting your thoughts on this issue. Please keep them coming, please. TC says, hey, John, the question is, will all the ANC MPs vote for Cyril Ramaphosa? The opposing faction might use the opportunity to unsettle him. Still unknown yet, because this is early days, as to whether it will come to a vote at all. 14 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
Right, let's get the very latest from the roads. Karabo Charlie, Centurion's getting a little tricky, yeah?
Yeah, that's heading towards the Linwood area. Centurion traffic backed up N1 northbound from John Foster to Atterbury. In Acacia, still in Tshwane, there's a hold-up on the N4 eastbound between the R80 and Roslyn Road. In Midrand, there's a stationary truck, N1 northbound before New Road, causing delays from Allendale. If you're driving through Alex heading towards Germiston, you can now expect about a 30-minute delay. N3 south from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren. Still in Ekurhuleni, Edenvale, expect some delays. R24 westbound from Edenvale Road to the Kilulis interchange. In Roodepoort, slow-moving traffic heading into Leratong Kagiso. That's on Randfontein Road between Collett Avenue and Adcock Ridgeway. There's an accident scene heading towards Alberton. That's the N12 eastbound before Xavier Road, causing heavy delays from the Deep Kloof interchange. Devland, traffic remains congested on the Golden Highway from the N1 to the N12. Finally, Protea Glen, traffic remains heavily backed up. This is on the R559 main road opposite GOG Gardens. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Hey, we buy cars. How does it work if I want to sell my car?
We'll drive to your place. You can visit our pods. Even if you don't have space, then at the mall in a parking lot, we've got lots of depots all across the land. Contact We Buy Cars. You're in safe hands.
Wow, that's great.
We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
Aziz Shege, be in the game. Show your love for D-Ski with Hollywood Bets. We're taking the soccer season to new heights. You could win a share of 4 million rand in cash and prizes, including an all-new Toyota Hilux double cab or Toyota Starlet Cross. All you have to do is bet 10 rand or more on any soccer fixture online or at your nearest branch. Bet now and strike for glory.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
It's 6 a.m. in Kenya. Victor's little sister starts high school today, but her fees need to be paid first. Back in Jozi, Victor logs onto the Absa banking app and sends her money and a little extra for lunch. It arrives instantly.
Your money makes their world go round. Send cash to 18 countries across the world with Absa Global Pay. It's safe, instant, and affordable. Your story matters. Absa is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an energy, a pulse, and a feeling connecting everybody. The heart of Mzansi.
It's Joburg, you know?
In celebration of this, 702 has partnered with Jozi My Jozi, and we're calling on you to walk through the city center with us. In the 702 July, we're going to the iconic Joburg CBD, the home of dream creators and operators, where we dominate and history make. So join us and be a part of something special.
I'm ready to rock this book!
Because when Joburg walks together, extraordinary things happen. Enter now on PrimeMediaPlus.com and get ready for 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk this July, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Jozi. Bamise bonke. Enter Walk the Talk now on PrimeMediaPlus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Let's stay with the Constitutional Court decision today in regard to Parliament. Phala and President Cyril Ramaphosa joining us to look at some of the legal issues, but some political points as well. Professor Richard Calland, he is Emeritus Law Professor at the University of Cape Town, but also the author of the book, The President, From Mandela to Ramaphosa, Leadership in the Age of Crisis. Certainly a time of crisis for the current incumbent. Professor Calland, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time today. we have a constitution and then the decisions of the Constitutional Court, and I would suggest over its 30 years, and we mark 30 years of the Constitution today, every Constitutional Court deliberation, judgment and decision adds important layers to the living form of the Constitution. What do you think happened today? What's been added to our Constitution in your view?
Yeah, thank you, John. Well, it's an important moment, and this was an important case. And I've remarked on the fact that there's a certain irony in the fact that a number of really important constitutional cases have been brought by the EFF, often regarded as a militant populist party, but also a party that, when it suits its political agenda, wants to use the apparatus of our Constitution to make these kinds of big political and legal points. And today was all about what should a parliament do when handling the impeachment process of a president. Earlier, during the Zuma years, it created a sort of a check on the egregious or vexatious use of the process by insisting or creating a new structure, an independent panel. And that was led by Chief Justice Sandile Ngcobo, the panel found that there was sufficient evidence for the process to continue. That was then voted down by Parliament on the 13th of December 2022, and the court decision today, the Constitutional Court ruled that that was an invalid choice by the court, by Parliament, by National Assembly. What they should have done was move to the next stage of the process, which is its own inquiry, an impeachment committee, which would look at evidence and conduct its own inquiry.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting decision that's been made. In terms of, I may jump around between the court case and the political implications, but one more on the case itself. One of our listeners, Simon, is asking, there was a minority judgment, because there were 3 all told. 7 of them were in favor of what was ultimately decided, although 2 of the judgments varied, I think, on some of the reasoning. But the third judgment, referred to in the judgment as the second judgment, but that's neither here nor there. But those who disagreed, what was their key point?
Well, it's an important consideration because when you have a unanimous court, especially on a big political and constitutional issue like this, it's really therefore hard to say, well, the court got it wrong, or to have a debate about the merits. But when there's a divided court here, and when you have a judgment for dissenting judgment with 4 justices taking a very different view, then it opens up space for the conversation you and I are having now. But it also creates, I think, space politically for someone like the president, who is obviously directly affected by this, to say, well, I'm not going to resign on the basis of this judgment alone. I may do so for other reasons. But to answer your question, John, in the essence, Justice Perlman, for that dissenting minority of 4, said that Parliament should have the freedom to make its own rules, and that it's what's called the counter-majoritarian argument, which is that a court should not interfere too much with a directly elected Parliament on issues such as this, that Parliament should be free to make its own rules. And it did make its own rules, and it chose, in this case, to say, well, actually, we don't want to proceed to the next stage. And bear in mind, of course, that the ANC position on that day in December 22 was that they would not proceed because of the fact that they thought that the Ngcobo report was flawed, seriously flawed, and could not be relied upon as the basis for moving to the next stage of the process, the parliamentary inquiry.
I mean, some would say that's what the ANC would say, because the ANC is a matter of reflex, whether it's mayors, premiers, MECs or presidents, steps in as habit to defend anyone who might be under any kind of legal or oppositional political pressure. But I want to ask you this, Prof, and if you wouldn't mind putting on the hat you wore when you wrote your book. I mean, what are President Cyril Ramaphosa's options? How do you see them? This is a very strong political challenge for him, but I'd venture it's also a personal one.
Yes, it is, and there's a real sense of deja vu about today. It feels very much like the 1st of December 2022, the day after the independent panel report landed late on the evening of the 30th. On that occasion, Ramaphosa was tired and hurt, quote unquote, by the finding, and he was on the verge of resigning. TV time had been booked for 7 o'clock that evening, and a resignation speech had been written. He pulled back from that for two reasons. One, he was persuaded by the views of people like myself and others, his own attorneys, that the report, the independent panel report, was seriously flawed, and he would be unwise to resign on the basis of it. Secondly, he was advised politically by important people around him that the country still needed him, needed his leadership, and therefore he should continue. Something quite similar, I suspect, will be going on right now and over the next few days. He'll be weighing up his options. He will not want to drag himself or allow himself to be dragged through a messy, unpleasant process in Parliament that will inevitably harm his reputation in the final furlong of his long political career. I think what he could do and should do is revert to his position back in December 22, which was to say the independent report is flawed, I'm going to judicially review it. And he did so then. And the reason he then dropped that case was very simple, John, because it was moot, because the Parliament has made that choice to kick the whole proceeding out, and it was halted. So there was no point in the court continuing to look at the lawfulness and the rationality of the first panel's report. He can now say, well, that mootness point is gone. It's now become very relevant to me and to the country, and therefore I'm going to reinstate that judicial review case, in which case he can apply to stay the proceedings in Parliament whilst the High Court then looks at that first report, if you follow me.
Yeah, and just finally, I mean, the one thing that's, well, three things that are different to the time period you refer to. One is the ANC no longer holds an outright majority. Secondly, there's a carefully crafted and at times somewhat fragile entity called the Government of National Unity. And thirdly, it's an election year. I mean, does any of that change the considerations that he might weigh up that you've just suggested for us?
Well, context always matters, and the context has changed. In the end, the ANC still has, I would say, a pretty solid block in Parliament. I think he would be able to hold it together. Ultimately, regardless of what the investigation by Parliament finds, there would have to be a two-thirds majority for his impeachment and removal. And the ANC still has 40% of Parliament, as you know, so they would easily be able to block that on their own.
Yes.
So that remains in place. What is different now is that Ramaphosa is at a different point in his political career. Back in December 22, we haven't mentioned this, he was 2 weeks away from an ANC National Electoral Conference, NASREC 2. And that was very much on his mind, of course, as it was on other people's minds. And they wanted him to remain as leader. Significant, powerful people like Gwede Mantashe. Maybe that's less the case now, and people recognize he's not necessarily a lame duck president, but he's certainly, as I say, in the final phase of his political career. But of course, those who believe in the reform efforts of his government, Vulindlela and things like that, and believe that we have turned the corner under his leadership, want more of him. They want the last 2 years of Cyril. They don't want him to go now. And those will be some of the factors that will no doubt be brought to bear on his thinking, on what is ultimately a very personal political choice he must make.
Yeah, Professor Richard Callan, thank you. Emeritus Law Professor at UCT, and together with Mabel Sithole, author of the book called The Presidents, From Mandela to Ramaphosa, Leadership in the Age of Crisis. Certainly an apt subtitle there. 702 Drive, 27 minutes past 4.
Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet because her parents didn't buy tickets for the Magical Marble Family Fest. They could have had a day full of magic and play where Miss Muffet's boredom was frightened away with live music and going on rides, luxury food on the sweet and savory side, arts and crafts and Nerf wars too, something special for every one of you. So don't leave Miss Muffet sitting on her tuffet. Get your tickets for a Magical Marble Family Fest Day coming to you on 9 and 10 May. Another grand collaboration with Investec in partnership with 947.
Mzansi, get ready to Panda Pusha Play Powerball Plus for an unforgettable 83 million rand guaranteed jackpot this Friday. You heard right. Play Powerball Plus for the huge 83 million rand guaranteed jackpot today, and you could be celebrating millions. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
Let's hear from Al, owner of Johnson's Cable, why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance.
I thought it was going to be difficult to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Switching was so quick and easy. I'm happy with the premium that I'm paying now.
For electrical, tradesman services, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
All roads lead to the East Coast as thousands gather in the metropolitan jewel of KZN Durban for Africa's Travel Indaba 2026. And next Tuesday from 1 p.m., 7:02 afternoons with Relebogile Mabotja will be live from the Durban ICC with Durban Tourism. From stimulating the local economy to further positioning Durban as a top destination, we're bringing you all the news and views in the business of travel and Africa's Travel Indaba 2026 with Durban Tourism on 702.
EWN Business.
Dramatic day in politics. Sometimes that moves markets, but not always. Stephen Krutis in a very, very good position to join the dots on both sides of that equation. Stephen, good afternoon to you. What's up?
John, thank you. Good afternoon. Yeah, look, I mean, I think really the rand not showing much for it. And it's really all about oil prices still the big variable. And I hope you enjoyed oil being below $100 a barrel. Remember that moment. It's just gone above $100 a barrel. I'm being facetious. We're kind of in a range where it'll go, I think, from sort of 95 to 105, depending. Shots were fired, it seems, by the US on Iranian positions overnight, and that's what's caused that. The All Share down 0.86%, 118,135 points. Financials down 1%, industrials down 0.78%, and resources down 0.81% at the moment. Some of yesterday's big gainers going down. Data Tech down 4%, Goldfields down 3.5%. The Vashini Group down 3.26%, and We Buy Cars down 3.2%. Now, you may remember Southern Sun was up very strongly at the end of yesterday. They'd given up most of those gains. They're down 3%. Well, Optasia is down 3%, and Old Mutual also down 2.5%. Anglo Gold, they're up 3.93% today, and Anglo Gold Ashanti issuing a record dividend for the first quarter. They had a quarterly update. Their free cash flow, they said, nearly tripled from the previous year on the back of higher gold prices. Also able to cut costs by $22 an ounce. Gold production was up slightly, so that's had a bit of an impact. Sasol gaining a little bit, up 2.45%, and then we see that Discovery is up 0.94% as well. In the US, normally would be sort of dictated by oil prices, but there was also a very positive jobs report which showed that unemployment had not increased despite tariffs, despite, well, everything that you could throw at the US economy. So that's really increased the optimism. The Dow Jones is up 0.14%, the Nasdaq is up 1.22%, and the S&P 500 is up 0.71% at the moment. The gold price is slightly higher. It's at $4,723.75. Platinum slightly lower, $2,022.30. And Brent crude $100.77 a barrel. The rand to the dollar, 16.40 to the euro, 19.31 to the British pound, at 22.33. Stephen Krutis, EWN Business.
Right, let's get the very latest eyewitness news with Mbali Dlamini on a very, very busy news day indeed. Good afternoon.
Well, it's Puleng. Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The Auditor General says the presidency is doing a fairly good job of keeping its finances in check as the Constitutional Court was handing down judgment today that could impact the political future of the president. Parliament's newly established committee on the presidency received introductory briefings on the workings of that office. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
For the past 3 years, the presidency has received clean audit outcomes. But business executive in the AG's office, Andre Segeto, says the committee should interrogate what support the presidency is providing state departments to improve their audit outcomes.
There were a couple of years where we dealt with specific issues, but the good news is they've demonstrated the resilience and the ability to then be able to course correct and recover.
With a budget of 2.6 billion rand over the next 3 years, Chief Operating Officer in the presidency, Rory Gallagher, says the job of the 534 staff is to coordinate government programs, not to implement them.
The budget for all of this work is in the line departments. It's not in the presidency. So the coordinating ministries area is a tricky terrain and sometimes an awkward audit.
Minister in the Presidency, Kumbutso Ntshavheni, says with 4 years to go to attain government's Vision 2030 national development goals, many challenges still remain. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Now, the KZN Transport Department has set up a war room to speed up the clearing of a backlog in payments to contractors. The department has come under growing pressure over unpaid invoices to service providers working on critical road maintenance, construction and upgrade projects. This week, more than 200 contractors met urgently with the department, raising concerns about unpaid invoices and stalled projects. The department has blamed technical glitches and cash flow constraints at the provincial treasury for the delays. But the KZN Treasury says the Transport Department started the financial year with more than 2.6 billion rand in unpaid accruals and invoices. Transport Department spokesperson Ndabezinhle Sibia says affected contractors and service providers have confirmed that payments are now being received.
As of today, the department has paid 700 million. Importantly, the head of the department, Zibusiso Dlamini, met with the entire management as part of the implementation of the Miapeng resolutions. Flowing from the above, HOD is setting up a system and assigning a team from finance that will be on standby to communicate with the contractors and service providers.
And moving further afield, the European Union has warned airlines not to charge customers extra fuel fees after they have already bought tickets. The warning comes as the aviation sector feels the pain from high energy prices because of the war in the Middle East. In a document published by the EU today on the energy crisis, the body says any changes post-booking can raise issues under its unfair commercial practices. Spanish low-cost carrier Voloti has been criticized in France, where it is under investigation after demanding fuel charges from customers because of the energy shock from the war. A look at your weather. A fine Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 3 and 6 degrees and highs of between 18 and 21 degrees.
In Devlin, traffic congested on the Golden Highway from the N1 to the N12, while in Protea Glen, traffic remains heavily backed up on the R559 main road opposite GOG Gardens, and in Edenville, travelling towards Bedfordview, expect some delays. R24 westbound from Edenville Road to the Kilulis interchange.
The top story in Eyewitness News. The Auditor General says the presidency is doing a fairly good job of keeping its finances in check.
702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
My show is about getting you informed by the time you get to the office, your place of business, or wherever you need to go. Hopefully you have a fairly good idea what's happening in Johannesburg, in Gauteng, and around the world. We want you to be part of those water cooler conversations, and you will be part of those conversations because you'll be a better informed citizen. What I like about the 702 family and 702 land is the ecosystem that we have built, the community. It's all about connection because we may be different, but ultimately the people you talk to and the people you hear are facing issues just like you.
702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa, weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m.
Preparing your business for its next serious growth phase? Consider WeWork, built for teams that want to grow up and glow up. At WeWork, your team gets space to focus, space to meet, and space to think big. From turnkey private offices and meeting rooms to on-site support, high-speed Wi-Fi, and printers that just work. Whether you're scaling fast or starting up, WeWork does it properly. Book a free guided tour at wework.co.za. Made for work, built for business.
Running a small business means every rand counts. Thanks to My Way Business Insurance, I save up to 20% on my insurance premiums every month for my buckies and tools of trade. Now, I get to save some extra cash for my business and focus on giving my clients world-class service.
Switch to My Way Business Insurance and save up to 20% on your buckies and tools of trade. Real businesses, real savings. Call us on 0860 646464 for a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. Standard rates and T's and C's apply.
Ah, Shane, do you have a sore throat? The Andalex range of lozenges offers two options. At the first signs of an irritated, scratchy throat, use Andalex lozenges for dual action, soothing relief. But For a painful, inflamed throat, use Andalex C lozenges for triple action pain relief. Andalex, SA's #1 choice for a sore mouth and throat. Andalex lozenges are available at all leading pharmacies and supermarkets.
Just Andalex it.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hello, John Perlman. Yeah, I feel that although he's guilty, but Cyril Ramaphosa, overall on his presidency, was a good president, so he shouldn't be impeached. Okay.
Afternoon, Dr. John Tawan from Cape Town. Dr. John, I see that some FF Plus, they're saying that the courts are straying into parliamentary conduct. But what I'm saying is, if the politicians themselves were holding each other properly accountable, the courts wouldn't be doing the job for them. So they need to really think properly and read the Constitution properly and understand and forget about politics when it comes to holding each other accountable, because that's why we have national government of national unity, so that they can hold each other accountable. But if they're not doing it, the courts will do it for them. So yeah.
Yeah. When will the ANC learn its lesson? I mean, why do they protect an individual at all costs? They did it with Zuma. Now they're doing it with Cyril. I think Cyril must just do the honorable thing and resign, give other people a chance, and then he can clear his name. I mean, this is just, it's ridiculous. Does it have to go this far for this? Yeah, but we'll see. I hope Parliament sticks to the Constitution and they do the right thing. Eddie from Centurion.
Yeah, they have no choice. They have to follow the route that has been set out for them. Kevin says the Concord decision just doesn't make any practical sense. Excuse me. There are 400 members of the National Assembly to impeach the president. It needs 268 votes. Over 200 members indicated that they would not vote to impeach in the vote taken on that point. So for the Concord to order that there must be an impeachment vote makes no sense. The Concord's job, Kevin, as I understand it, is not to make rulings that determine any particular outcome in a matter like this. They're saying that the issue at stake did not allow to be properly ventilated. It involved the conduct of the highest political officer in the land, and that is what needs to be remedied. There needs to be a proper ventilation of the issues around what happened at Palapala, the matter at hand. The Concord's job is not to say, therefore, we as a result of this, X or Y needs to happen. They're not commenting or ruling on that at all. They're saying that if that organ of government is to hold the highest political officer in the land to proper account, then they cannot go about it the way they did before. So it makes complete sense to me. And the voting numbers are absolutely neither here nor there. I can't believe they even factored in to the many conversations the justices would have had, and correctly so. 18 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
So disappointment for Sundowns midweek, an opportunity tomorrow, Tolokele, to put that right. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John, and they'll look to get their Betway Premiership title bid back on track when they host Suwelele tomorrow. The midweek draw against Kaizer Chiefs stretched their unbeaten league run to 19 matches as they extended their lead over second-place Orlando Pirates to 3 points. Ahead of it, Divine Longa has warned his teammates to be wary of a Suwelele team who are on a 5-match unbeaten run.
In this past few games, they've been doing well, so we don't expect easy game. The league is about to end, so I know everyone wants to end their season in a good way. We always give every team respect. There's no smaller team. We always give them a big respect, and Suwelele has been doing well the past few games, so we are not expecting an easy game or a walkthrough. It's going to be a difficult one. They're going to fight, so I think even us, we are ready.
Callum McFarlane has denied the claims that Chelsea's players have down tools amid a turbulent season that will see them fail to qualify for European football next season. The Blues' defeat to Nottingham Forest on Monday made it 6 successive league losses, which is their worst run since 1993, and they'll return to Premier League action with the clash against Liverpool tomorrow.
I wouldn't agree with that. The performances haven't been good enough. We're in a really bad run at the moment. The Leeds performance was a glimmer where we thought we could build on that, and we weren't able to do that. But I do see these boys every day, every training session, every meeting in the gym. They're in a good place to go and attack games. We just haven't been able to translate that on the game on Monday. So hopefully we can improve that on Saturday.
Federico Valverde and Orlan Tuchimeni faced disciplinary action by Real Madrid following a training ground clash on Thursday. Valverde had to be accompanied to hospital by interim head coach Alvaro Arbeloa. That's after he suffered facial wounds that now require a fortnight's rest. The midfielder has also taken to social media to deny speculation about the spat, as he insists that he accidentally hit a table during their argument and at no point did Tuchimeni hit him. Over to the United Rugby Championship, where the Stormers are in action against Ulster in their penultimate regular season game this evening. Deon Fourie has discussed their desire to win in order to maintain their position at the top of the standings.
We were good on the road this year, 26 or 34 points in the middle. So we learn how to play up here and be different. And yeah, I think we learned from that. We looked at the first half and saw what we did good. We knew what we did wrong as well. And but we definitely evolved a lot from last season until now, with confidence, with the way we play, and with the trust we have in each other.
And Bulls scrum half Imrose Bibia will move ahead of Jos van der Westhuizen as the most capped scrum half when they take on Zebre tomorrow. Bibia will play his 170th game during a season that will see him sit second on the try-scoring list with 9 tries from the current campaign. Going into that clash, the Bulls have a chance to sneak into the top 4 should they win their last 2 games and other results work out in their favour. Tholakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
4:45, getting busy. Centurion in particular. All the details now with Karabo Chali once again. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Well, at this stage, yes, Centurion heading towards Linwood. We still have bumper traffic in northbound from John Foster to Atterbury in Midrand. Also, stationary truck slowing down traffic heading towards Centurion. This is on the N1 northbound. That stationary truck is there before New Road and delays all the way from Allendale. Driving through Alex, heading towards Germiston, you can still expect about a 20-minute delay. On the N3 southbound from Marlborough to Van Buren, while in Edenville, expect some delays. This is on the R24 westbound, traveling towards Bedford View. Between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange, Roodepoort, slow-moving traffic on Randfontein Road approaching Elias Motsoaledi, while in Devlin, traffic congested on the Golden Highway from the N1 to the N12. Finally, Protea Glen traffic heavily backed up on the R559 main road opposite GOG Gardens. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, still to come. Randall's One Song with Randall Abrams. Looking forward to hearing what he's got for us today. But first, I want to ask this question. Please do keep your comments coming on the Concord judgment, Pala President Cyril Ramaphosa, and all those important burning issues, I think it's fair to call them, in our national politics. But in your individual life, what's the thing that you are most grateful to your mother for? Give me a call on that on 072 702 1702. And by the way, if you want to say more than one thing, well, that's also fine. But try and keep it to a few. Tola Kelly, I wonder if you want to start.
Definitely for hearing me even when I don't speak.
Yes.
Because a few weeks ago, she just realized that my energy was a little bit off. And then when the long weekend came, she came to my house. And it was nice just to have like a girls' weekend. And I was able to just like offload about everything that I'm going through. And I didn't have to tell her that I'm struggling. She just instinctively knew because she knows what my behavior is. So I like the fact that she hears me even when I don't speak.
Wow, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing that you're picturing for us. How about you, Karabo Chali?
Well, I have to say a lot of people have issues with their mother-in-laws. So I didn't have that issue. Well, my girlfriend didn't have that issue because my mother was very welcoming. Introducing her to her was very easy, and they were just like best friends. But one thing I appreciate is that she gave her good tips about her cooking skills.
Yes. Okay.
So when my mother would visit us, she'll monitor how she's cooking and give her tips. And guess what? The food we eat in my house, Baba, it hasn't changed much. It's
Scuffed in, Baba. We wait. And we're still waiting for those biscuits, by the way. Tolakele. Hey, my colleagues, they talk about food. They give you, admittedly, they don't make specific promises. Whenever I say scuffed in, they nod. But I suppose a nod doesn't have any particular legal standing. Keep following us, please, on YouTube if you like. We're getting some useful and interesting comments from you on the big story of the day. This one from, I don't know what I should call them, at Concept Brand. I guess that's what they have signed up as. John, the president, suspended both Advocate Mkhwebane and Dr. Tlhophe when they're going through the same impeachment inquiry. So he has to stand aside also. And relaxing sleep audio says, okay, the matter will end up going back to the Concord for determination of whether the offense, in inverted commas, is an impeachable offense or not after the impeachment committee has done its investigating. I don't know if that legal route is one that can be followed. But anyway, thank you for those, and thanks for watching us as well as listening to us. You too can join us. Just go to YouTube, type in 702 Drive, John Perlman, live. Don't forget, you must put the word live, otherwise you'll get our archive stuff. It's always great to see you and to have you see us. 10 minutes to 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Still to come on the show, we'll look at the political implications, the wider political implications of what happened at the Concord today. They are obviously front and center for the ANC and its president, also president of the country, but big decisions to be made for a number of other political parties as well. We'll be chatting to Mandla Hadebe, who is chief whip of the IFP, and we'll get the thoughts of analyst Sanusha Naidu. That's after 5 o'clock.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
But first, we are sticking to some of our Friday regulars. We'll do a song, a book, and a dish with Dr. Somadora Figeni. That's going to be very interesting at about 20 to 6. And right now, we are going to listen to some music in the company of Randall Abrams with Randall's One Song. Randall, a very good afternoon to you and welcome. You've got someone for us, Calvin Farlow, who's, I must admit, music I don't know very much about. Tell us a little bit about Calvin Farlow and why we should be listening to him. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. The reason you should be listening to him is because it's the biggest song in the country right now.
Ah, okay.
Everybody Want to Be in Love. And there isn't much about him. He's not kind of front and center as a performer, but he is, in fact, he's done a lot of work, most notably with Team Moshe. He received a SAMA nomination for a track that he did with him. He worked on Lady Zamar's album Monarch. He's done work with Mikasa, and I think you can definitely in this track hear a bit of the influence, some of the obvious influence of Mikasa. He's done collaborations with Junior Taurus and Oskido. And I also checked out on YouTube a great track that you should listen to called Knoxman from about 6 years ago. It's listed as Amapiano, but I would call it 21st century Kwaito. It's got everything about Kwaito in it, but the production is just a bit more modern and updated, as it were. But this particular track is a very, very big song at the moment, and I've seen his clips on social media just thanking everybody for making it such a big tune.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to listen to Calvin Farlow, Everybody Wanna Be in Love, and then we'll continue our conversation with Randall in a moment. Enjoy this. Everybody want to be in love. Calvin Fowler. Randall, the first time you heard that, what jumped out for you?
So I think the fact that he's worked with Mikasa, I can certainly hear the horns, right?
Yes.
Because there's like very, very prominent horns all over it. And it's really, really fun and up-tempo, which again is, kind of like Ladies of Mine, obviously again like the work that you'll hear from Mikasa. And it's just, we're going into winter, so I guess everybody's going to want to go out and party to the song before it becomes extremely cold in Gauteng. But, I also think about what it would have been like if this were released in November or October, Yes. I think either way it's a great track, but it has got that summer flavor, and I do think that come the summer months later in the year, it will still be around and people will still be dancing to it.
So sometimes, Randall, we talk about artists who've just got a very well-known body of work stretching over time, and then we get artists who kind of perhaps come in and out a little bit, although that doesn't mean they're not producing music. It just may be music, not necessarily music that's making it out as by way of recordings for other people.
Yes, John, and I imagine, especially with both songwriters and kind of DJs, right? They've got to look also for the right moment, because a lot of the work that he's done previously, as I say, if you listen to this track, Knox Man, and some of the other examples that we've given, he's clearly been quite prolific in collaborating with artists whose names are a bit more well-known. But I'm very happy that he's got an opportunity now for people to know who he is and hear, a track that is just his. As I say, it's not a collaboration. It's purely something that he's created.
Thanks so much, Randall Abrams. And your choice, heartily approved by Vusi, who says, John, this is a very nice song. Wow, I'm dancing. Wow. Vusi, appreciating Randall's choice. And Randall, of course, will be back with us at the same time next Friday. It's 3 minutes to 5.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
In 2019, you had dropped your first single, Nobody's Looking.
Yes.
Once you heard yourself on a public platform that was not your own phone, what was that feeling like?
Freaking out. I could not believe it. I saw it, obviously, in my mind. I saw it. I imagined all of these things. But when it actually happened, it just felt so unreal. And it still does right now. It's just so crazy to me that, out of all the songs that are out there that exist in the world, mine is being put on radio and I'm doing interviews like this. I'm just so grateful. So, yeah.
Kayla, it's spelled K-L-A. Don't be confused. Kayla, ne? But it's K-L-A. Sing and multi-hyphenate creative.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Mzansi Ballet proudly presents Heal the World, an inspiring new ballet set to the iconic music of global legend Michael Jackson. Choreographed by South African prima ballerina and award-winning choreographer Angela Revi in collaboration with renowned Mexican guest dancer and choreographer George Wade, this powerful production celebrates dance as a force for connection, healing, and transformation. It tells a deeply human and emotionally charged story of resilience and self-discovery. Heal the World runs from 13 May to 7 June at the Peter Turin Theatre at Monte Cassino. Get your tickets now through web tickets.
New from the House of Citroën.
Ah, so stylish.
470-litre boot space. I need it.
Keyless entry, so chic.
Cruise control. Oh, bonjour.
4-year or 60,000 kilometers service plan? Oui.
The stylish, all-new Citroën Passat is here. You want a piece of it. Starting from 354,900 Rand. Register now for limited deal assist of up to 40,000 Rand. Visit citroen.co.za. T's and C's apply.
It's the final days of less 20% off everything at Dial-A-Bed. All our famous brands in all sizes, all less 20%. Purchase any 40 Wings product for 5,999 or more and we'll give you a free Mother's Day gift. 2 adjustable pillows worth 1,200 Rand. Shop in-store or online today. Dial-A-Bed. Sleep for life.
702. WhatsApp John.
On 072
702
1702.
Yeah, I think I'm grateful to my mother for, she's made more than a dozen kids big. who didn't have a place to go, didn't have hot plates of food, who would have had no future. And she's always had an open door for anybody that ever needed it. And always, doesn't matter what time you arrive, there's always a hot plate of food on the table. And although my brother, my sister, and I are only direct kids, if you want to call it that, she had many of us, many kids growing up in our house, making them big, whose parents couldn't do that job first time round. And though my father passed away at a very young age, she stood up.
Thanks so much for that. The question we asked you as Mother's Day draws nearer, what is the thing you appreciate most about your mother? Share that with us on 072 702 1702. We continue, of course, to take interest in what you have to say about the Concord judgment today. It's 5 o'clock.
This is EWN.
The Constitutional Court of South Africa declares the Section 89 parliamentary rule invalid, and Parliament of South Africa respects Concord ruling on Parapara matter. Good afternoon, I'm Puling Make. The Constitutional Court has declared invalid a parliamentary rule that requires the National Assembly to vote on whether to adopt a Section 89 panel report or not. The Apex Court says that this is inconsistent with the Constitution. Section 89 independent panels are established to determine whether there is a prima facie evidence that a state president may have breached his oath of office. Today's Concord's ruling says the National Assembly must rewrite this particular rule to say that if the panel report finding sufficient evidence of wrongdoing against the president, the matter must be referred to an impeachment committee. Tabiso Koba reports.
In December 2022, a Section 89 panel report on President Cyril Ramaphosa and his actions in the Parapara matter was tabled before Parliament. The report made damning findings against Ramaphosa, saying he may have violated his oath of office and breached the Preventing and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act. However, the ANC used the majority in the House to reject the adoption of the report. This was done in line with Section 129I of the National Assembly rules, which requires the House to vote on whether a Section 89 panel report should be referred to an impeachment committee or not. Handing down today's Concord's majority ruling, Chief Justice Mandisa Maya said this is unconstitutional.
It is declared that Rule 129I of the 9th edition of the Rules of the National Assembly is inconsistent with the Constitution, invalid, and it is set aside.
The Concord has also directed Parliament to establish an impeachment committee against Ramaphosa. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Meanwhile, Parliament says it notes and respects the Constitutional Court judgment that set aside National Assembly's decision to not investigate the Parapara scandal. The Apex Court today ruled that Parliament's failure to adopt the Section 89 panel report on the Parapara saga in 2022 was both irrational and invalid. During the 6th administration, the Section 89 panel found that President Cyril Ramaphosa may have violated his oath of office in connection with the 2020 theft of foreign currency at his Limpopo farm and the alleged cover-up of that incident. Baba Londenze reports.
Today's ruling paves the way for another parliamentary structure that will probe the allegations against the president. The process will be governed by Section 89 of the Constitution, which allows the National Assembly to remove the president from office. The impeachment committee that will be established at the Speaker's direction will investigate, establish the veracity of the charges against the president, and make a recommendation to the National Assembly. If the committee decides on impeachment, it will require a two-thirds majority or more than 267 votes to succeed. Parliament spokesperson Moloto Motapo says today's ruling and its implications will be studied before the process starts.
Parliament will carefully study and consider the court judgment and its implications for the procedures of the National Assembly.
President Ramaphosa says he respects the Constitutional Court's judgment and reaffirmed his commitment to the Constitution. Baba Londenze, Eyewitness News.
Now, the North Gauteng High Court has reserved judgment after 3 days of arguments in the review application brought by Weber Wenzel, Werksman and Barmans against the Legal Sector Code of Good Practice. Advocate Tembeka Ncukai-Tobi, acting for the applicants, says despite the marathon arguments, none of the respondents have answered to the applicants' case. He told the court Trade Minister Park Stau irrationally doubled the black ownership target from 5 to 10%, despite evidence supporting the lower figure. The firms argue the legal sector code is flawed because it excludes most law practices, sets unjustified transformation targets, and was developed through an improper process. The court agreed the question of the set target,
if it is not based on the correct findings of fact and the correct application of the law. This is just common sense.
No one addressed that issue.
No one. That's why I say, my lady, when I say after 10 speakers, no one has addressed our case, I'm not exaggerating.
Ncukai-Tobi argued the code, which is set to affect triple BEE weighings of B law firms, poses an existential threat to his clients.
It is common cause that there will be an adverse effect, and that's why it becomes existential for my clients, and they are corporate citizens of this country.
Now, severe flooding in parts of the northwest have left communities isolated and some roads inaccessible following a week of relentless torrential rain as local government continues to assess the extent of that damage. Among the hardest hit areas is Taung, where Premier Lazarus Mokgosi visited affected residents today. The Premier has also confirmed that the N14 between Freiburg and Kurman remains closed, having been affected by flooding. Nkosikona Malingamnisi reports.
Above average rainfall cut off entire villages in western Taung, flooded roads and damaged bridges. Tragically, a 12-year-old girl from Taung lost her life after being swept away while playing in flood waters with friends. Premier Lazarus Mokgosi says provincial officials have visited the bereaved family and pledged support. The young girl is expected to be laid to rest on Sunday. Mokgosi says the provincial government, working alongside aid organizations including Gift of the Givers, is providing emergency flood relief to affected communities.
We think that we have met our people, we understand better, but we'll come back again from time to time to come and check what progress has been reached.
He added that disaster response efforts are being coordinated across multiple government departments to ensure assistance reaches those most in need. Or see Kona Malingamnisi Eyewitness News.
And moving further afield, France's ambassador to Algeria has returned to the country to ease relations between the two countries. Relations between France and Algeria have broken down since 2024, when Paris officially backed Moroccan sovereignty over the Western Sahara, where Algeria supports pro-independence Polisario Front. Alice Rufo's visit marks a major sign of approachment between Algeria and Paris. AFP is reporting that she landed earlier today to attend ceremonies commemorating a colonial-era massacre. Gold's trading at $4,712.44 an ounce. The rand is at 16.41 to the dollar, 22.32 to the pound, 19.32 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $100.62 a barrel.
In your sport, Divine Lunga says Mamelodi Sundowns are not giving up on the Betway Premiership title. Mikel Arteta tells his Arsenal players to maintain their hunger ahead of West Ham clash. And Novak Djokovic responds to Irina Sabalenka's call to boycott Grand Slams amid prize money row.
Well, at the stage in Centurion, traffic heavily backed up N1 North between John Foster and Atterbury. Irene, also traffic sluggish on Main Road. Approaching Nelmapius Drive in Pretoria North. Traffic is gridlocked on Mansfield Paul Kruger Road. This is between Francina and Eskiam Patlele.
A look at your weather. A fine Saturday in store for Gauteng. Tomorrow, Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 3 degrees and peak at highs of 18. Pretoria, 6 and 21, and Vereeniging, 3 and 19 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. The Constitutional Court has declared invalid a parliamentary rule that requires the National Assembly to vote on whether to adopt a Section 89 panel report or not.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
We're calling on Joburg to walk the inner city with us. In 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Good to have you with us on this Friday in May. It is a day that marks 30 years of the introduction of South Africa's democratic constitution, and it's a day in which I think some people will say the constitution has been put to the test. The Constitutional Court has made a ruling in regard to Parliament's obligations in dealing with the issues raised by what happened at Phala and the explanations offered for that. It has ruled that Parliament must now go and set up an impeachment committee, and that the vote back in December 2022 by an ANC majority to close off the matter is constitutionally invalid because it's based on a rule that Parliament had adopted that is itself invalid in terms of our constitution. The implications are enormous. We're going to look at the implications not just for the ANC and its president, the country's president, but also the implications for other political parties and the current political regime that we have in the country now. Lots to talk about there. We'll be joined in a moment by Nhlanhla Hadebe, who's chief whip of the IFP. They're part of our national governing arrangements, and we'll talk as well to political analyst Sanusha Naidu. Later in the show, we'll be doing what we do every Friday. We call it a song, a book, and a dish. We'll be joined by somebody who perhaps you first got to know as a political analyst. He's now the Commissioner of the Public Service in South Africa. A very interesting man indeed, Dr. Somodora Figeni, with us from about 20 to 6. And we've asked him to pick a favorite book, choose for himself a special song, and of course, because of the dish, we're going to need to talk about food as well. Really looking forward to that. This is 702 Drive. We are live in the place where you live, and you are as well our eyes and ears. If there are stories that we're missing or angles we're missing on stories we're covering, please get in touch. 072 702 1702. Don't forget it, in addition to your thoughts on Phala and the Kong Court, I did ask you with Mother's Day coming up, what's that thing about your mother that you appreciate and are most grateful for? Let's take a listen to what some of you had to say.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Hi, my name is John. This is Tebello from Kimpton Park. I think what is coming is the biggest disaster of not having a president, a disaster of being leaderless. I'm not saying Ramaphosa was the best leader, but what is coming is worse. Wait and see.
Good evening, John. Good show as always. John, two things that I'm very proud of my mother that she taught me very well. My mother taught me, number one, was, my son, no matter how angry you are, you should never, ever in your life lay a hand in anger to your wife or girlfriend. Number two, she taught me that if my wife asks me to get something in her bag, I must take the bag as it is and pass it on to her. I never asked her why, and I don't know why. And I don't even want to know why. Thank you, John. Good show as always. Cheers. Spike from Lagos.
John Andre from Pretoria. I say better the devil you know than the devil you don't. As DA, they must keep the president in his place and not impeach.
Yeah, I mean, the impeachment vote is one thing. The impeachment process is going to be another. And both, I would suggest to represent hazards for the president and for his political party, the ANC. 5:14. We'll talk to the IFP in a moment, but traffic first.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Charlie, it's getting busy now in Pretoria. We're at Midrand. the jam's moving north, it would seem.
Yeah, let me start in the Centurion area heading towards Linwood. Traffic heavily backed up. This is on the N1 northbound from John Foster to Atterbury. In Irene, traffic also sluggish on Main Road approaching the Maypierce Drive, while in Acacia, still in Tshwane, bumper-to-bumper traffic N4 eastbound from the R80 to Roslyn Road. Pretoria North, traffic gridlocked on Mansfield, Paul Kruger. This is between Frontina and Eskia Mphahlele, while in Wonderboom, expect heavy delays on Steve Biko. This is between Fred Nicholson and Lavender. And leaving the Pretoria CBD in the Hermanstad area, there's slow-moving traffic on Eskia Mphahlele from Wormhagen all the way to the R80. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The OUTsurance Pointsmen can't help you pass your license renewal eye test, but they can help you arrive on time. Seeing them on your route just makes you feel better. The OUTsurance Pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so everyone gets where they need to be, quickly and safely, for the past 20 years. With OUTsurance, you really always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using #PointsmenLove, licensed insurer and FSP.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes on 702.
My show is about your money, and it's about how people have made their money. But it's also about what happened to your money today, what happened on the JSE, what's happening overseas. All of these things, all about the way in which people make their money, spend their money, use their money, and in so many ways, use their money to make more money for them. What I absolutely love about the 702 family and 702 land is the huge warmth of people, the generosity that they show. But I also absolutely love the hustle. Anyone in business is actually trying to improve the economy. They're trying to have an impact on all of us. And there's a go-getting attitude to 702 land that you don't see in so many other places. That's what I really love about 702 land. That getting together and doing something new, and in the process, making money.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes. Weekdays from 6 to 8 p.m.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's pick up on today's main story, today's huge story, no other way to describe it. And welcome to the show, Nhlanhla Hadebe, who is the IFP's Chief Whip in Parliament. Mr. Hadebe, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time today. Anyway, have implications for the GNU, the IFP's role in it, and its future operations. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, John, and good afternoon to your listeners at home. And thanks for having us.
I don't know if you heard my first question. Shall I give it to you again?
Yes, please.
Yes, I was just saying, does today's Constitutional Court decision and the parliamentary process that must now follow have any implications in the IFP's view for the current governing arrangements in the GNU going forward?
Well, we in the IFP do not believe that the Constitutional Court's judgment for today will have any impact on the current arrangement of the government of national unity.
Right.
Remember that the GNU, like any other form of government, is an institution. Government is an institution. It's not individually centered. So, as all South Africans are aware that we have committed as the IFP that we note the judgment of the Constitutional Court, directing that the Parliament be referred to Parliament's impeachment process, and that the process for which we will participate as the IFP fully and constructively. It's a process that we believe that will be an exercise of observing and respecting the rule of law,
but the government, as an institution, will be proceeding with its work, whatever outcome may be. But at the end of the day, government will still be there.
Mr. Hadebe, as the IFP, I mean, if you look back on the way your party has heard the explanations offered in regard to what happened at Phala Phala, both from the president but also from other people associated with the matter, have you had misgivings as the IFP in regard to the answers you've received, and how deep have those misgivings gone, if you did?
You mean in the answers we've got
from the various authorities that have looked into the issue? The South African Reserve Bank has made pronouncements, the public protectors made pronouncements, and obviously the president has offered his own explanation. Have you had a disquiet as the IFP about what you've been told so far? And if so, how deep does that disquiet go?
Well, we respect all these institutions as the IFP, the Reserve Bank, and other institutions of this country. At the time when they issued and made their observations on the matter, we respected and accepted and noted the answers that they gave. But remember, the Constitutional Court is the apex court
Yes.
in the Republic. So whatever answers or observations or rulings that these institutions may have given at the time are immaterial now, that the Constitutional Court has made this ruling. For us as Inkatha Freedom Party, having observed all of that, is to accept and note that the highest court in
Yes.
the Republic, has ruled, and what is left for all of us as the citizens and political organizations that are in the Parliament of the Republic is to do what is expected of us, to go in line with what is required of us after the ruling of the Constitutional Court.
Nhlanhla Hadebe, thank you, IFP Chief Whip. Let's welcome now to continue this particular thread, Sanusha Naidu, political analyst. Ms. Naidu, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. Just before we engage, I want to play this from the relatively newly elected DA leader, Jordan Hill-Lewis. This was his comment on what's happened today.
The DA notes today's very serious judgment of the Constitutional Court in the Phala Phala matter. We respect the Constitutional Court and the rule of law, and we are the party that will always strive to uphold the rule of law. The court has now made clear that Parliament must correct its rules, and the Phala Phala report must proceed to an impeachment committee. This is a very serious moment for Parliament, for the presidency, and for South Africa's democracy. The DA will participate fully and constructively in the impeachment committee. We will be guided by the facts and by the evidence placed before the committee and by our constitutional duty to the rule of law. We will not prejudge the outcome, but nor will we allow any person, no matter how high their office, to be placed above accountability.
Sanusha Naidu, a very good afternoon to you. What do you make of what Jordan Hill-Lewis has said there? Other parties, for example, the EFF, the ATM, the two parties that brought this matter to the Court and saw to its conclusion a very clear the president should resign now. But it seems to me Jordan Hill-Lewis is making very clear that for them this is a process entirely unrelated to any agreement that they might have made in the forming of the GNU. They'll judge it strictly on its merits. Is that what you would expect will probably come from other parties currently in that governing arrangement? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. Good afternoon to your listeners. And I think that's a very significant point you raised, because I read the statement and I thought, okay, hang on, there's an interesting dynamic here, because there are so many different issues at play here and factors at play in terms of what does this mean for the GNU going forward, or how it actually would it not deepen divisions, but impact on the kind of architecture that has been defined and constructed around the document of intent that underlines the GNU in terms of the negotiations that happened in the run-up to the formulation of the GNU. And I think what I found interesting, yes, you're right. On the one hand, it says that they still remain an independent actor. They're not going to be swayed. They believe in the rule of law. So it's very procedural for them,
Right.
that they'll have to be part of this ethics, this impeachment committee, and how they deliberate in that committee is going to be very important. And the notion that nobody's above the law, but also they won't prejudge it. And I think that's going to be an interesting little hook in
Yes.
the GNU right now, because depending on how these deliberations go in the impeachment committee, depending what the terms of reference is, because one of the things that I think has to be very clear and coherent is that this is about a ruling that is made on Parliament's rules in terms of whether the Parliament carried out its rules in a sequencing of procedure, and it missed a few steps.
Yes.
And this is an interesting thing, because if you listen to Chief Justice Maya's announcement of the judgment, the three judgments, but and of course the overall order that she gave, the 3 or 4 points that she gave. What's interesting is that the Constitutional Court is saying in its judgment that they have jurisdiction to make a judgment on the way the process happened in terms of the Rule 129 and in terms of whether it was constitutional or not. So they have that jurisdiction. They have that oversight as the highest court in the land, the apex court. But they're also saying they don't have the jurisdiction to actually make a ruling on substance.
Right.
And we have to be very clear about the rules and what's being set for Parliament and what Parliament had not carried out in the sixth administration. But they're also saying that they don't want to basically get caught up in a complication in terms of separation of powers, because they're saying we can't make a ruling on substance.
Right.
And I think that's very important. So with parties in the GNU now, what would be we know what the ATM and what the EFF is. Their intent is that they have to the outcome of the impeachment committee process would have to be whether or not the president should be impeached or not. And we know where they are veering to in terms of what they want to see the outcome being, given that they're saying that that the EFF leader has said the president should actually resign.
Thank
But
you.
he doesn't have to do that.
Yeah, indeed. Well, we're literally at the start line, or just a few steps over it. A long way to go, but thank you. Sanusha Naidu, political analyst, 27 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Stephen Critters, good afternoon to you once again.
Afternoon to you, John. Well, oil prices still determining a lot of the action. I mean, in normal times, what we've seen around the president, I don't know what normal times are anymore, but what we've seen around the president might have had an impact on the rand. Now I think really oil prices are a much bigger factor. They're up above $100 a barrel at the moment. That's Brent crude. So the rand is kind of fine, holding its own, but the JSE All Share is down 1%, 117,889 points. Financials are down 1.3%. Industrials down 1.3%, and resources down 0.76% on the day. Anglo Gold up 4.1%. That's after quite a strong quarterly update. Anglo Gold Ashanti issuing a record dividend for its first quarter. Free cash flow up dramatically. All of that on the back of higher oil prices, as you would expect. Sasol down nearly 3%. Sasol up nearly 3% on the day. Higher oil prices probably to blame for that. Santam up 1.15, Boxer up 0.95, and Telkom up 0.89. The fintech firm Optasia, they're down 4%, and Datatech giving up some of yesterday's gains. They're down 3.73. The Southern Sun Group also giving up their gains. They're down 3.36, and Naspers is down 3%. The Foschini Group ended the day down 3%, just after trading finished. For the day, they put out an update saying in the quarter, this is for the first quarter, the last quarter, the fourth quarter of their financial year, sales were up by 7.5% and 5.5% on a like-for-like basis. But for the full year, sales grew 5%. Headline earnings, though, are down between 30 and 40%. And I think people were expecting that outcome, which is why their share price was down on the day. In the US jobs numbers, non-farm payroll stronger than expected, showing that the economy is still quite buoyant, despite literally everything that's been thrown at it. You've had tariffs, you've had high energy prices, AI stocks perhaps playing a little bit of a role, but still. As a result, the Dow Jones is up 0.14, the Nasdaq is up 1.2, the S&P 500 is up 0.71% on the day so far. The gold price, $4,716.80, platinum $2,038.85, Brent crude $101.42, and the rand to the dollar 16.39, to the euro 19.31, to the British pound at 22.35. John, on the Money Show, I take Sanusha Naidu very seriously, as I know you do. We'll continue that conversation. We'll speak to Mpumelelo Mkabela just about the longer term consequences, but also if you're a business and you're looking at a place where the rule of law is established, you're looking for a place where the parliament can hold the president to account, where the courts can do that. Well, contrast South Africa, what we've seen today, with other places like the United States. So we'll look at that tonight. We'll also look at the developments in Joburg this week and what they've done to property prices in Joburg. And we'll have a look at watches. Stephen Grotus, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. 29 minutes to 6. The very latest news now with Puleng Make.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. EFF leader Julius Malema is calling on President Ramaphosa to resign following a court ruling ordering Parliament to begin an impeachment inquiry against him. The Constitutional Court ruled today that Parliament erred in its decision not to adopt the Section 89 panel report, which found that Ramaphosa may have violated his oath of office. The panel found that Ramaphosa may have a case to answer to regarding the theft of foreign currency stolen from his Parapara farm 6 years ago. Malema says Ramaphosa should step down and take accountability.
Now is for Ramaphosa to use his conscience and resign as the president of South Africa and go and face the impeachment. We can't have a president that is doing the work of president and doing the work of impeachment. He must concentrate on one.
Now, legal practitioners before the North Gauteng High Court over legal sector's transformation framework have pointed to government as one of the drivers of disparities in the profession. They say the bulk of government's legal work continues to go to largely white-owned law firms, four of which are challenging the legal sector code of good practice. The firms insist they are not opposed to transformation and argue the case is about the rule of law. They've asked the court to confine itself in the Constitution and not what they describe as an attempt to justify an irrational and unlawful code. Dimakatsole Shuru has more.
It's a complex case with far-reaching implications for transformation, not only in the legal profession but across the economy. An advocate who attended the hearings and has practiced for 15 years says she has only been briefed by government once in the last 6 years.
Government decided that now I want to spend my money on Norton Rose and the other firms, and then I'll leave the black law firms here and the advocates here to dry.
Another legal practitioner, Advocate Phumla Mngwango, echoed the sentiments. She says it's not surprising that attrition levels, particularly among black female lawyers, remain high.
The reason we are here is because things on the ground are not happening. So we are relying on those breadcrumbs.
The applicants, represented by advocates Ngugai Toby and Bam, will this afternoon respond to the submissions by black advocates. Dimakatsa Leshoro, Eyewitness News at the North Gauteng High Court.
The Auditor General says that the presidency is doing a fairly good job of keeping its finances in check as the Constitutional Court was handing down judgment today that could impact the political future of the president. Parliament's newly established Committee on the Presidency received introductory briefings on that workings of the office. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
For the past 3 years, the presidency has received clean audit outcomes. But business executive in the AG's office, Andres Segeto, says the committee should interrogate what support the presidency is providing state departments to improve their audit outcomes.
There were a couple of years where we dealt with specific issues, but the good news is they've demonstrated the resilience and the ability to then be able to course correct and recover.
With a budget of 2.6 billion rand over the next 3 years, Chief Operating Officer in the presidency, Rory Gallagher, says the job of the 534 staff is to coordinate government programs, not to implement them.
The budget for all of this work is in the line departments. It's not in the presidency. So the coordinating ministries area is a tricky terrain and sometimes an awkward audit.
Minister in the presidency, Kumbutso Ntshavheni, says with 4 years to go to attain government's Vision 2030 national development goals, many challenges still remain. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
A look at your weather. A fine Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 3 and 6 degrees and highs of between 18 and 21 degrees.
Pretoria North traffic remains gridlocked on Mansfield Paul Kruger Road. This is between Francina and Eskiam Pahlele. Vonderboom expect heavy delays on Steve Biko Road between Fred Nicholson and Lavender. And finally, if you're leaving the Pretoria CBD, there's slow moving traffic on Eskiam Pahlele from Vumhagen all the way to the R80.
The top story in Eyewitness News, EFF leader Julius Malema is calling on President Cyril Ramaphosa to resign following a court ruling ordering Parliament to begin an impeachment inquiry against him.
The Clement Manyatela Show on 702.
The Clement Manyatela Show is about everything. It's about current affairs, family matters, the work environment, your health and wellness, relationship and sex issues that couples face. It's about learning, helping each other, healing, teaching. It's about life in essence. What I like about the 702 family and 702 land is that we are quite intentional about doing life together. We're always pulling through for each other, learning from each other, always teaching each other. We're not scared to disagree, but also we're brave enough to be vulnerable with each other. We just care about each other, and I think that is priceless.
The Clement Manyatela Show, weekdays from 9 to 12 p.m.
Africa's Travel in Durban is happening from 12 to 14 May at the Durban Exhibition Centre. Look out for the Resurgence Conference Durban activation and learn about the July conference, which is focused on unlocking investment and connecting businesses to opportunities. Hosted in partnership with USA partners, Resurgence is where innovation, tourism and growth meet. Visit stand DEC1H41. That's DEC1H41. This message is brought to you by eThekwini Municipality.
Still shopping around for a saving here and a deal there? Choose Checkers, SA's #1 in value supermarket. And save on deals like Douwe Egberts Instant Coffee, 200 or 230 grams for $174.99. Save 55 Rand. Hyman's Frozen Pizza Pockets, any 6-pack for $119.99. And Colgate Toothpaste, Total or Pro, 75 mils, any 2 for 80 Rand. Valid until 10 May, only at Checkers.
Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet because her parents didn't buy tickets for the Magical Marble Family Fest. They could have had a day full of magic and play where Miss Muffet's boredom was frightened away, with live music and going on rides, luxury food on the sweet and savory side, arts and crafts and Nerf wars too, something special for every one of you. So don't leave Miss Muffet sitting on her tuffet. Get your tickets for a Magical Marble Family Fest Day, coming to you on 9 and 10 May. Another grand collaboration with Investec in partnership with 947.
EWN Sport.
Right, sport one more time with Tolakele Mganga. Good afternoon to you again.
Afternoon, John. Divine Lunga in Selele tomorrow. Their point against Kaizer Chiefs in midweek stretched their lead at the top to 3 and made it 19 games unbeaten in the league. However, their quest to win a 9th championship in a row is not in their hands because 3 wins from Orlando Pirates' remaining league games will see the Buccaneers dethrone them.
We're going to do our best to collect maximum points because the race is still on. There's nothing big or new about it. So I think we're gonna take one game at a time. That's what we always do. It's sundown, so we don't have to put ourselves in any pressure. We have to focus on winning our games, each game at a time. I think that's that's a good thing for us because we've been doing it for so long. We can't change it now.
The title race in England also continues this weekend with second place Manchester City up against Brentford, while Premier League leaders Arsenal are away to West Ham. Mikel Arteta says the Gunners need to reset after the emotional high of reaching the UEFA Champions League final. The men from London can be crowned English champions for the first time in 22 years if they win their final 3 league games.
Sounds good, because if it's one game more, stay present, live the moment, prepare and show the same level of energy, hunger and desire that we've shown all season or more, because we are closer and closer and everything that we do know is going to matter to win it or not.
Michael Carrick has told his Manchester United players there's still a lot to play for this season, having secured their target of qualifying for next campaign's UEFA Champions League. They'll take on Sunderland tomorrow and know that the Black Caps will be desperate to cause an upset as they have an outside chance of European qualification.
Pride, responsibility, playing for this great club, great supporters, really good togetherness within the group as well, and it's about improving and evolving all the time. Over the last week or so, in terms of the Champions League, it's a step, it's a really good step. That's not the end. We want to keep improving, we want to finish strong. Understanding there's a little bit of a feeling of games to go, and it does get right to the end of it. Of maybe it does change slightly, but it doesn't in terms of us preparing for the game and wanting to do well, and whoever plays, play well.
And Novak Djokovic has praised Irina Sabalenka for displaying true leadership after she suggested players may start boycotting Grand Slams if they don't receive more prize money. The women's world number one, along with Yannick Sinner and several other top players, have expressed disappointment over the prize money at the upcoming French Open. That's after it was revealed that Roland Garros will increase its overall prize money pot by around 10%, but the player's share of the tournament revenue will go down. That's from 15.5% to a projected 14.9%.
The new generations are coming up, and I'm glad that there's willingness from the leaders of our sport, like Sabalenka, to really step up and understand the dynamics of how the tennis politics works and understand the nuances and what needs to be done, not only for her benefit and well-being, but for everyone. That's a true leadership for me. I think that she needs to maintain that. I salute that.
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Right now, it's 19 minutes to 6. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142 now. And you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Let's get the very latest then as we approach 6 o'clock. Karabo Chali, what do we need to look out for, please?
Yeah, let me start in the city of Tshwane, Pretoria North. Traffic gridlocked on Mansfield, Paul Kruger Road. This is between Francina and Eskiam Patlele. Vonderboom still expect some delays on Steve Biko. Between Fred Nicholson and Lavender. Leaving the Pretoria CBD, that's traveling through Hermanstad. Slow-moving traffic on Eskiam Patlele from Vomhagen to the R80 four-ways. Traffic sluggish on Winnie Mandela Drive between the N1 and Broad Acres. Joburg CBD traffic remains gridlocked. M1 South from Killarney Bend to the double-decker section, while if you're driving through Alex heading towards Germiston, expect about a 20-minute delay. N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren. Roodepoort, still slow-moving traffic on Randfontein Road approaching Elias Mutwaledi. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Things people stress about in traffic. Number 48. Did I upload the updated version of the presentation? Oh, the anxiety. Well, with the Outsurance Pointsman on your route, at least the traffic is one less thing to stress about. The Outsurance Pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
The Aubrey Masangu Show on 702.
I cover on my show issues of advisory, whether it is legal matters, whether it is financial matters. I cover day-to-day issues as far as current affairs are concerned. I cover the politics of the day and how we as South Africans are interpreting them. My listener is a curious 702 lander. They want to know what are the backstories, the stories behind what we are hearing on the airwaves. They want to understand understand what drives the different issues that have us talking. What I love about the 702 family and 702 Land is the fact that we have 702 landers who are responsive, who are present, who care about their communities and who want to know how they can be a part of the process of making our areas better, but also our country better. And that for me is a great privilege. I am totally indebted to the providence out there to be talking to these people on a daily basis.
The Aubrey Masanga Show, weekdays from 8 to midnight.
Marble Family Fest this 9 and 10 May. It's happening at James and Ethel Gray Park. Whether you're a mom or a dad, a kid or a grandparent, even toddlers, tweens and teens, the creators of the luxurious marble circus have curated something spectacular for each and every one of you at the Magical Marble Family Fest. Get your tickets at magicalmarblefamilyfest.com, another grand collaboration with Investec, in partnership with our sister station 947.
Mzansi, get ready to Panda Pusha Play Powerball Plus for an unforgettable 83 million rand guaranteed jackpot this Friday. You heard right. Play Powerball Plus for the huge 83 million rand guaranteed jackpot today, and you could be celebrating millions. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. eTuba is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
In the world of finance, manufacturing, and mining, automating business processes is a crucial factor in stimulating an organization's growth and bottom line. Zoe Projects and Consulting, a specialized process engineering and automation firm, offers comprehensive data and business systems analysis to optimize your company's processes, to save time, reduce costs, and better efficiency. Go to zoeprojects.co.za and get in touch with Zoe Projects and Consulting today.
A song, a book, and a dish.
On 702.
702 Drive, it's 14 minutes to 6. This is something we look forward to all week, where we get to know somebody who we've engaged with, possibly on this radio show, or who we know for other reasons, but we get to know them better. We ask them to guide us through their music tastes, to tell us about a very special book in their lives, and of course there's always food. Not just the dish itself, but food shared with family and friends. My guest today is somebody who I first got to know as a political analyst. He's also served in various aspects of public life and is currently the chairperson of the Public Service Commission. Professor Somandora Figeni, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time.
Thank you very much, John, and greetings to your listeners and viewers. For giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, it's great to have you with us. You've sent us some details about your past. I'm going to jump to something a little bit in the middle, but in the early years of your life. You enjoyed, when you were in high school, drama, theatre, debating, but you also mentioned you were a keen amateur boxer and you took that into your 20s. How good were you in the ring?
I was a southpaw and I was right-legged.
Okay.
So that was always very awkward for many people. I was doing exceptionally well. I won all my fights through one. And at the university, I even went on to become a coach and a manager of boxing. But when politics of underground became difficult, I stopped training, I stopped boxing because I couldn't follow a routine.
Did you have a nickname?
Well, they called me Terra for some reason I don't know, but others would come with other names.
Yeah.
And most fascinating was that I followed boxing all the way. It was my favorite sport. We're introduced to it by my father.
Tell us a little bit about your dad, because your dad was an agricultural extension officer, your mom a teacher, and we'll talk about them, Mtutuzeli and Noma Bisinia, if I've said that correctly, your mom and dad. But your dad first, I mean, agricultural extension officer, did that mean he was away a lot? Did he travel?
He traveled, he worked away at Flagstaff and Mzimkulu. Later, I visited him many times. But one thing he taught us resilience, but also the importance on working on soil, to a point where both my dad and my mom, they used to say the only thing we will buy from the shops is something that we cannot produce from the fields.
And did that have a big influence on what was served around the Figeni dinner table or wherever it was you gathered to eat?
Every time when we had to eat, most of the stuff was from the garden and was from the fields. And that tradition has gone on. Our garden and fields are always attended to for the most part. Even now that I'm in the cities, I needed a piece of land where I could continue doing that because of that special relationship with land.
So, Prof, you grew up in a town people would know from its past name, Mount Aleph, also know the current name, Emaxesibeni. It's in the eastern part of the Transkei region of the Eastern Cape. If I was to speak to, let's say, your grade 7 teacher, just as you're finishing primary school, how would they have described you?
My primary school was not that elegant, really.
Yes.
I didn't focus much. I was just moving from class to class so much that many of the people who will see me saying, I finally got all the qualifications, they would say that cannot be true because I was not that kind of a person who was a bright student at the time, much because I didn't pay much attention until my mother became my teacher and she was focused on making sure that I focus. Then high school, that's when schooling began to be interesting. And at the university, I really enjoyed myself and I was passing with flying colors.
Can you recall, Prof, what it was in high school that caught your attention? Was it history? Do you think you were just older and maybe able to pick up books for yourself and read? I mean, what tripped the little switch that steered you on what became a distinguished academic career?
History and geography, but also having very great teachers.
Mm-hmm.
I do have my former principal, Mr. Dube, who unfortunately we're burying next weekend at Mount Fletcher. Those were great inspirations, and they even managed to buy newspaper and give me a newspaper after the staff had finished reading for the day. And all those things sharpened my interest and my intellectual curiosity. And I went on to be a political analyst. I went on to do political science. But what is interesting is that where I registered at the University of Transkei, which is where Chief Justice comes from, Justice Madlanga graduated there, Terence Nombembe, Ngugaitobe, and many others. I registered for B Juris, and my parents knew that I was doing law.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was told that you would have to apply apartheid laws, I left after 2 weeks of attending classes to do political science. All along, my parents only knew that this was a student who was going to be a lawyer, and they introduced me as such. They would only know on my 3rd year that I've long abandoned law.
I'm not sure how they explain that to neighbors and friends, but I want to ask you this, Prof, from your academic career in South Africa. You then went on to study at some very distinguished universities in North America, Michigan State University, where you did your PhD, McMaster University. You also at Queen's University. Two-part question. The one is, how did you deal with a cold? Did you ever get used to it, even though you were there for a while?
When you are so excited to be outside the universe of your village,
yes,
you do not really care that during winter, we used tunnels which connected every part of the university.
Goodness.
And you'd only come out to catch your bus. But at Queen's University, something interesting occurred. And this was only brought to my attention only recently, that the year I went to Queen's University, which was the best university at the time in Canada, It's the same year, 1990, when Elon Musk went to the same university coming from Pretoria Boys High. And the year I left, 1992,
Yes.
is the same year that he left for Pennsylvania. But I was doing my master's, he was doing his basic degree, and I wouldn't vouch that I ever met him. I was the president of the Queen's Committee Against Apartheid. So we had quite a mix of white South Africans, black South Africans, Indian, colored in that community. But I don't think I actually met him. But it was just interesting that our paths must have crossed in the same library at some stage.
Prof, I need to go all the way from Canada back to food in South Africa and meals. You spoke about how your family was very much focused on sustenance. You've chosen roasted maize, roasted mealies, and anything on a braai. I mean, did you have a good corn crop there? And is that still your favorite food now?
It still is. Of course, braai can be anything. I've been exposed to many foods around the world, Ethiopian dishes, West African dishes, Latin American dishes. But I do think that South African braai, it's still that braai, whether it comes with salad or any other thing. And just like roasted maize is what I miss the most during the years in North America.
Well, one of the things you might have missed as well is South African music. We'll come to that in a moment. Lots and lots of books, I'm sure, have passed through your hands and enriched your life. But you come back to, what shall I call it, a very singular book about South Africa by a South African, Long Walk to Freedom. You said that's always very near the top of your list.
Indeed, you can imagine as an academic that I must have had so many books that passed through my hands. But I do think that the Long Walk to Freedom, how it is made simple and quite compelling in telling the story of an African child, the African families, the story of apartheid and segregation and the struggle and the triumph of the human soul after all the difficulties that you have, where you do have both despair and hope dancing in the shadows until hope, prevails.
Yes.
Which gives one hope to say, even in the challenges that we face today, we must never stop dreaming. We must keep hope alive.
Yeah, Nelson Mandela's autobiography there. Let's talk music then. I assume this kept you through some of those cold days. You picked Jonas Gwangwa, Ulibambe Lingashoni, but tell us why, out of the many songs I'm sure you've enjoyed and loved, this one is special.
Jonas Gwangwa one is one of those iconic people like Ibrahim. They, during the times of the struggle with Abo Huma Segela, provided that music that kept us going. But this one, which says, "Don't let the sun go down."
Yes.
I take it that each generation is asked to keep the sun up and not to allow it to go down, irrespective of the challenges that we face. And that is why I am quite attached to that song which says, Ulibambe Lingashoni. Of course, there are many other songs, but that stands out to me as a calling and as a mission for each generation, never to let the sun to go down.
Prof. Somadora Figeni, Chair of the Public Service Commission, thank you so much for sharing with us your song, your book, and your dish. Let's enjoy Jonas Gwangwa. Jonas Gwangwa from the year 2000. The song still holds the ear and stirs the heart. 702 Drive this week, produced by Jonathan Fairbairn and Rifue Litsua. Karapo Malapile is our technical producer. I'm John Perlman. Have a great weekend and stay warm. Good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Business Banking, featuring the Agri Trends 2026 Autumn Edition. In agriculture, smart moves need smart insights. We get it. Good evening. On your Money Show tonight, does the Constitutional Court's Phala ruling put President Ramaphosa's reforms at risk? And how investors could take heart from our system's defense of the rule of law? As Dada Morero says he'll defy the finance minister and pay SAMWA members that increase, how Joburg's financial crisis may affect longer-term property values, and the enduring power of the Rolex brand, and how luxury watches are growing in South Africa. All of that to come, but first, the very latest Eyewitness News.
Good evening, I am Botswana. The Constitutional Court has declared invalid a parliamentary rule that requires the National Assembly to vote on whether to adopt a Section 89 panel report or not. The Apex Court says this is inconsistent with the Constitution. Section 89 independent panels are established to determine whether there's a prima facie evidence that a state president may have breached his oath of office. Today's concourse ruling says the National Assembly must rewrite this particular rule to say that if the panel report finds sufficient evidence of wrongdoing against the president, the matter must be referred to an impeachment committee. Tabiso Goba reports.
In December 2022, a Section 89 panel report on President Cyril Ramaphosa and his actions in the Phala matter was tabled before Parliament. The report made damning findings against Ramaphosa, saying he may have violated his oath of office and breached the Preventing and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act. However, the ANC used the majority in the House to reject the adoption of the report. This was done in line with Section 129I of the National Assembly rules, which requires the House to vote on whether a Section 89 panel report should be referred to an impeachment committee or not. Handing down today's Concourse majority ruling, Chief Justice Mandisa Maya said this is unconstitutional.
It is declared that Rule 129I of the 9th edition of the Rules of the National Assembly is inconsistent with the Constitution, invalid, and it is set aside.
The Concourse has also directed Parliament to establish an impeachment committee against Ramaphosa. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
Now, the corruption case against former Public Enterprises Minister Malusi Gigaba and former Transnet executives has been postponed to the 10th of July to allow the defense to consult with their clients. Gigaba and his co-accused, including former Transnet chief executives Siyabonga Gama and Brian Molefe, appeared briefly in the Johannesburg High Court today. The case centers on Transnet's multi-billion rand locomotive procurement program aimed at expanding and